All right, everybody. So we're now recording. Yesterday, just a recap on yesterday. And I can tell that a lot of you did not read your contract until after yesterday's class. I got a lot of messages saying, oh my God, my contract says this. Oh my God, my contract says this, because you haven't read it. With any of these processes, the first thing to do, no P trio, you cannot record my meeting. With any of these processes, the first thing that you have to do is read what they gave you. That's the most important, because they're going to tell you one way or the other. They're telling you within the contract itself. Okay, they're telling you within the terms and conditions. They're telling you, and when you understand their language, which is why it's important to read what their definitions are, then you'll understand exactly what you're reading. How many people actually went and pulled up 16 CFR 433.1 through 3 yesterday? After the class, during the class. So you guys see that they tell you what a contract is, which lets you know, thank y'all, which lets you know that a contract is not between you and them, it's between them and them, and you securitize it. So as I said before, it makes it appear that you wrote the contract, which is why you can go and change the contract, as we learned yesterday. Take out what you don't agree to, okay? Put your little signature, your sign your initials, and then back it up with a document, just in case they act like they don't know what you're talking about. Okay, that can be done with any contract. I've seen a few comments after the class. Can you go over utility bills? If you guys remember in the beginning of the class yesterday, I stated that in the class yesterday, do that sound better? I felt like I wouldn't sound right. Okay. That in the class yesterday, I said it's not about what type of bill it is, right? It's all a security. So even if it's your light bill, gas bill, water bill, stamp it at the top the same. Do not tear off the bottom. Okay. Do you know that if you tear off the bottom, the coupon from the bond, you have just now did securities fraud? So these corporations are making you commit fraud. What is also happening is that they're able to turn them in because it's considered a bearer. So what that means is if Kimberly drops a money order that ain't filled out, and I pick it up and fill it out as mine, because guess what? I didn't know it was Kimberly's. And that's what they're doing to your utility statements, your credit card bills, and your et ceteras. Okay. They will be filled out, and then they can use the excuse to the Treasury or whoever saying we didn't know whose it was. Yeah, they play dirty. And that's exactly what they do. Okay. So when it comes to Capital One, Discover, light bill, gas bill, water bill, you stamp the top the same way, the bond, because that's the part that's worth the money. Okay. And on the bottom part of it, pay to the order, write it out like a check. On the back of it, just sign your name. That's it. That's all. It's not about what type of bill it is. It's the fact that it's a security. Okay. So we went over the contract yesterday. how it's supposed to be paid to order, and etc. Okay. At the very end, we'll do a full demonstration from tomorrow in class. We'll do a full demonstration from stamping to signing to putting it in an envelope to writing the letter that has to go with it. Because like I said, it's as many of us that's in this class right now, we can have a mass mail out on them. So now the question that we always get is, well, what happens if they don't agree with us or they don't respond to us? Then what are you supposed to do? One thing is, in order for you to assert your rights, you have to know it. In order for you to tell them that they're committing fraud, you have to know what fraud they committed. And the best way to know what they've done is by reading their forms. So we showed you guys the most easiest way ever to be able to find their security forms, right? By going through the EGR system, just putting in the first name of the company and let them all pull up and search until you get what you want. Okay. We do understand that those 10K, 8Ks, and the ABS 15G forms, they can be kind of long, right? But you need to know what's inside of those forms because that is what you stand on. You make them eat their words, but they can't eat what you don't give them. You have to eat it first so that you can regurgitate it when you need to. You can say, well, according to your 10K filing that was filed on 3/21/2022 in section 4.1, you said, and it said, because they can dispute your interpretation of the law. They can dispute your interpretation of what you think that this is supposed to be. But what they cannot dispute is how they were licensed by the Security Exchange to be in the position that they are in. And that is based off of their forms. So tonight, we are going to go over their security filing forms so that you will know what to use and how to stand. Now, personally, when I first got started and I was sending them letters and etc., I printed out their 10K and 8K or they ABS, and I highlighted it because, people get amnesia and stuff. So just in case they got just a little bit of amnesia, I wanted to remind them of what their fiduciary duty was, how they got in the position to be approved through the Security Exchange to be in this position, and remind them to be able to do it, okay? So, Kayla, you want me to pull the 10K up first?
Yes.
All right. Look at all these people trying to register. Hold on, let me tell you how many people. There is approximately, oh, I'm closing it. I'm not about to let them in. All right.
They should have been here. We gave 20 minutes actually, more than enough time. But you can't play the game if you don't know the rules. And if you want to know the specifics of whatever security, whatever bill you're dealing with, read the contract.
And now we're going to read their contract.
Now we're going to read their agreement. Hold them to their words. Well, this what you said? This what you said right here?
Yeah, because they don't like that. They don't like that. And it's not that they don't like their wording. They don't like the fact that you know where their wording is.
Exactly. I was just about to say.
Explain it. Because we know what the saying is. They say if you want to hide something from them, put them in a book, right?
Yeah.
There it is.
What they don't count on is you knowing that this is here, because it's here, it's public. But they just don't expect you to read. They expect you to be on TikTok.
Yeah. So this is the Form 10K. This is their annual filing that they have to do. This particular form has a lot of information on here that will be very useful to you. Okay. And before Caleb get into the actual act, if you notice, there's this
I
box
was
right here is checked.
I was just about to mention that. That's funny.
For the Security Exchange Act of 1934. So for you guys that have been with me for a minute, now you understand why I say it's imperative that you read that act. That act is actually all of their rules and all of the things that you can violate them on. I know it's
Oh,
kind of
and it's
long, but it's worth it.
trust me, it is because when I posted that portion about credit not being issued unless on collateral security, Securities Exchange Act, and it tells you what the collateral securities are in the Securities Exchange Act. Promissory notes, drafts, bills of exchange, bankers' acceptances, etc. Read it. And it's broken down section by section. It's broken down section by section. It got a nice title, and then you got the subsections underneath, and then it all deals with the issues. But it talks about swap agreements when you're swapping something for something, which is really what we're engaged in is swaps. But that's neither here nor there. If you read the act, you'll understand why. But look at what it says specifically. Pursuant to section 13 or 15D. So that's already a big hint. Go read section 13 and then read section 15D. And then you'll understand what the report is that you're looking at, the Form 10K. It tells you right where to go. If read the whole act, but if you just need to read those two sections, start with those two. Because that will help you understand the form that you're looking at. And then they also have the definitions of each word in here. Before we get down into the body of the actual document, we're going to go through an entire list of definitions that they have for their words and what they mean when they say this. They will have abbreviations with full on what they mean, what they stand for. Everything that you need is going to be further on in this report. And then whenever you're ready, Auntie.
Before we
But
go
also,
all the, hold on one second, Caleb. Before we go all the way down, if you notice that they got Hyundai as Capital America, ABS funding, and then auto receivable trust. So the way that your
and
note moved, go ahead.
yep. So I was actually about to point that out. I was going to say, if you see, you have the you have all the different parts here. You have the sponsor, you have the depositor, and then you have the trust. Those are the three different companies that you see listed, right? And that is again the way the note moves. But also further than this, there is an actual terms document that I was looking at for them where they have a list of accepted company names, and it's many. It's Hyundai Motor Corp, Hyundai Finance Company, Hyundai this, Hyundai that, Kia Finance, all of these different companies who they have underneath their umbrella that will constitute proper company names that can sign on title documents. So many different companies all under this same trust. All of the receivables still go into the same asset pool, right? It's just that the company names will be different, which is why people will have different like Hyundai companies depending on where they go, if that makes sense. But then go ahead, Auntie.
There we go. I like that. So the different Hyundais they got, depending on where you go. This is where you actually did the contract, right?
Yes.
I'm telling you, they messed up with my internet and everything. Ain't nobody even on this internet. Um, this is where the physical contract was written, right here. And if you look at Hyundai ABS Funding LLC, it says exact name of the depositor as specified in this chart. Okay. So once you did the contract and it's in the contract that you give us the right to transfer, they transferred it here. 12 USC 1813 L1 says that once a promissory note is deposited, it turns into cash, right? We tell you guys that you have to protect your funds. They protected theirs. So here's the security agreement that you gave them. They deposited it and turned it into cash. But wait a minute, let's protect it up under a receivable trust so we can hide our assets. Okay. If you remember from yesterday, I said if you have to take them to court, you can do the federal court in your area, which I don't suggest, but you can. You can take them to arbitration or Delaware, because they're incorporated in Delaware, and more importantly, the Chancery Court is in Delaware. And Chancery Court is nothing but equity. And everything that you're dealing with equity. Okay. When it's time for you to start mailing your forms and things out, they gave you the address. And you see how they have the care of right there. That's the executive offices. You need their EIN number, it's there. There's their zip code as well. Need their phone numbers right there. Okay. So all of the information that you're needing is within this form itself. The CIK number we talked about, how you can pull up pull up their forms from the CIK number. CIK stands for Central Index Key Number. Here it is right here. Their authorization through the security exchange to be security transfer agents. This is their issuing ID number right there. Okay.
And if you search that, you can pull up their initial documents that they filled out. You can see their request, you can see their approval, you can see all the terms that they agreed to.
Which is called their security agreement. It's called their security agreement. That's just like if you were going to get into an agreement with your broker or your bank to be able to sell securities, you have to draw up a security agreement. And so they have to do the exact same thing. Okay.
But also for 1099s, EIN, phone number, address, all of that information is here.
Yeah.
The CEO, CFO, you'll find here.
For you to do the, like you said, to do the 1099A and the 1099C.
Yep. Phone number, everything is on here but an email. And the email is not required when you fill that out. So you have all the information that you would need right here. If you have a Hyundai, this is where you would submit your 1099s.
And because I know that Hyundai ABS Funding LLC is the actual depositor to turn it into cash, if I was actually sending them a stamped endorsed note, not only would I address it to Hyundai Capital America, maybe, I would definitely do Hyundai ABS Funding LLC care of with this address, because they are the one that turned it into cash anyway. This right here is where all the fraud that's right there.
And they're also registered with the SEC. If you go and you search Hyundai, you will see Hyundai ABS Funding LLC. They have their EIN, they have all of their information as well. So you can click on their security forms. There are security forms for every single company that you see on here. Hyundai Capital America has its own form. Hyundai ABS Funding LLC has its own form. Hyundai Auto Receivables Trust also has its own form. Not to say that they're not all connected, but yeah, go ahead.
Does anybody know what the ABS stands for?
Oh, that's easy. Come on, y'all. Y'all got
this. It's easy for us. Brittany, what's the ABS stand for? You went out. What'd you say?
Asset-backed security.
There you go.
Beautiful.
Asset-backed security. What's the asset? In a transaction, what would we consider the asset? Do. Any, meeny, miny, mo. Venus. What would be considered the asset? Venus McClinton. Gotta unmute. Going once, going twice. Serena.
Would it be the note, the promissory note?
There you go. Not the vehicle, but the note is considered the asset.
Now you're getting it.
As well as the title. Because as we get to reading this form, you're going to see that they pledged the title already. Okay. All right. Want me to go to this paragraph right here, nephew?
Yep. So
All right.
again, more disclosures, right? So indicate by check mark if the registrant is a well-known and seasoned issuer as defined in Rule 405 of the Securities Exchange Act. They are not. All of these disclosures, as you can see here, point you to different portions of the Securities Exchange Act that this report is filed either yes pursuant to or no. So you can see that it is not, the registrant is not required to file reports pursuant to section 13 or 15, which is why they selected no on that box earlier. But then when it says indicate by check mark whether the registrant has submitted every interactive data file to be submitted pursuant to Rule 205, yes. So there is, again, more disclosures for what am I trying to say here? These are just all of the disclosures that are required, letting you know, again, what this form is made pursuant to and why it's being made before we get into the meat and potatoes. And then, Auntie, if you want to scroll down. Boom, boom. The following items have, all right, go ahead.
How far you want me to go?
Oh, keep scrolling.
Wait a minute, before we do that, part 2, inside of this form, as well as part 1, the legal proceedings. If you notice, they omitted all of this out of this form.
Yeah, I was gonna, but
yeah, it tells you that they omitted the business structure, the risk factors, the properties, the legal proceedings, the market, all of this, they omitted out of this form. And if you read the Security Exchange Act of 1934, that's illegal. But you know why they omitted that information out of there? Because it's very pertinent information, just in case us as consumers just so happen to stumble across their form, because it has to be public information. They don't want to give up too much what they're doing, which is illegal, into their forms. Now, is there a way to get it? Absolutely. Remember how we just told you guys that you can actually pull up their actual original contract that they had to give to the Security Exchange to become a public traded company, to be a security transfer agent. All of that information is there, which that form can be pulled up, but on the form that's for the public itself that everybody will look at, they made sure that they omitted that information. So anything that they try to omit, I'm going to find it.
And they did it in all 3 parts.
Yep.
So these are the things that they removed from those sections.
Financial disclosures, controls and procedures. You know they wanted to make sure that they omitted security ownership of certain beneficial owners. Who's the beneficial owners?
Mm.
You, me. And related stockholder matters, because remember, you're the investor, right? because you invested your promissory note to them so that they can make money for their business. So they made sure they left out anything about your beneficial ownership, stockhold matters, and etc. They made sure that they left out any relationship related to transactions, but how? And even though the SEC is supposed to be for the people, as you see, they let them do what they want because, I mean, it's all one big circle. They all together, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So those things like that are very important for you to understand it. So what they did was they omitted that information, but then they want to give you substitute information. Why I got to get the substitute? Where's the original information at? So they gave you substitute. And if you look at Regulation AB, it tells you derivatives instruments. What is the instrument? They said a couple of times, Regulation AB. So I would definitely go pull Regulation AB and see what are they talking about derivatives instruments. When you know what instruments is, you know what to do. Even down here with legal proceedings, they substituted the information on how you can sue their ass, right? They substituted because remember it's up here. It's been omitted, but legally they have to have something there. So they gave you the substitute. Y'all remember back in school when we got the substitute back in school, we acted a fool. We didn't care what the substitute said back in the day, okay? It's like, oh, Miss Hall ain't here. We about to act a nut. There you go.
And it tells you where to go. Regulation AB, item 117, item 1115B, item 1114B. And then what does it say immediately under that? The indenture trustee is Citibank.
Yep.
See what we haven't, it's right here.
Let me move this out the way. Hold on. Yeah. Damn it. They're gonna make it big. No, hold on. All right.
Citibank is acting as indenture trustee of these asset-backed transactions. In the ordinary course of business, Citibank is involved in a number of legal proceedings, including in connection with its role as trustee of certain RMBS transactions. Certain of these Citibank trustee-related matters are disclosed therein.
It also tell you that their trust offices are both in New York and London. We all know what's going on with London and their role that they play in our financial system.
And I want y'all to, sorry, Auntie, I want y'all to check this last paragraph. You see it, Auntie, where I say on June 14th or June 18th, 2014, a civil action was filed against Citibank in the state of New York by a group of investors in 48 private label RMBS trusts. And RMBS is probably defined in here. So it'll tell us what that means, for which Citibank allegedly serves or did serve as trustee, asserting claims for purported violations of the Trust Indenture Act of 1939.
Wait a minute. For y'all that
Contract-
been, wait a minute.
Yeah,
For y'all that been with us, isn't the Trust Indenture Act of 1939 something we told y'all to read? We ain't just telling y'all to read for nothing. Or the Security Exchange Act of 1934 and 33, because they have to follow those rules to be able to be who they are. And that's where you find all of their violations at. And they did it for a breach of contract. Didn't they breach your contract? Breach of the fiduciary duties and negligence to perform its duties as trustee, right? You're able to take these court cases yourself to be able to use it, right? But if you read down further, and this is why I tell y'all, don't do federal court. You can do it to scare them, but don't put nothing in federal court if you ain't got to. Now, You trust and believe they found all those violations, the breach of contract, the breach of the fiduciary duty. They definitely found it, because if you roll back up here where it tells you that Citibank Agency and Trust manages 5.8 trillion in fixed income and equity investments, right? For over 2,700 of their corporations. What are they supposed to use? Supposed to back? The corporate trust service for asset-backed securities containing pool assets. So what pool assets is that
When they throw all your securities together.
there you go.
If you have so many securities that are loans or, asset-backed car loans or mortgages, they throw them together in a pool and they call it an asset-backed security pool. And then it becomes worth more. So then they manage the pool of these securities, which is why they can end up being worth billions.
And they do it quarterly. Everything is done quarterly. But look at what is considered their asset-backed securities. Airplane leases. If y'all fly as much as I do, if you look at the little thing before you get on there, it'll tell you Citibank, US Bank, you be like American Express, you be like, wait a minute, it's etched in on the little thing at the door when you go in into the plane. Auto loans and leases, boat loans, commercial loans. So for you guys that ask me, oh, I got a business, does it work the same? Absolutely. Commodities, credit cards, durable goods, equipment leases, foreign securities, because remember, they're registered in Delaware as their principal offices, but when you do business in every other state besides the registered state, you are considered a foreign limited liability company. Funded agreement-backed note programs, truck loans, utilities, student loans, and commercial and residential mortgages. But wait a minute, hold up. Ain't this Hyundai? This Hyundai, ain't it? Why are they talking about auto loans and leases and residential mortgages? They're supposed to pay out 212 various backed trusts supported by either auto loans or leases or equipment loans or leases. So if you have to contact Citibank for any reason and they're like, we don't know why you have to contact us, well, be like, according to item 1117, regulation of legal proceedings, you are the right person that we're supposed to contact. Okay?
Yep.
Okay, where you want me to go? They go another case. They brought another one. Oh, but back to this case here, because I left from here. On September the 8th, the federal court dismissed all claims as the 24 or the 27 trusts and allowed certain of the claims to proceed as the other three cross motion for partial summary judgment. Can anybody tell me why they denied those? I can't see y'all hands. Caleb, can you call on somebody?
Shirley Hunter. Shirley Hunter, going once. All right. Yolanda Joshua.
Hey,
How you doing?
I don't say because of that arbitration clause.
That's part of it. That's definitely part of it. It ain't the main thing though.
Ain't the main thing. Okay.
But that's absolutely part of it. Because that's what they'll do to you. Okay. That contract says that if you have any problems with them, you have to do arbitration first. But it goes a little deeper and says that you have to first tell us that you're gonna sue us and let's try to work it out before you do. And I promise you, as sure as I am who I am, if you file in federal court, they can file a dismissal due to the fact that you breached the contract because you agreed to do legal proceedings by one, letting them know and giving them time to respond. If they do not respond within the allotted time, right, which is 21 days, then you can file it. Which is why I tell you, if you're in court being sued by a debt collector, file the motion of removal due to mandatory arbitration. Okay? So That is part of it. And if you notice, they put in their brief, Citibank, and Citibank filed a motion for summary judgment. The court granted Citibank motion for summary judgment in its entirety, right? Of course, they filed an appeal. It went back to court. We'll get down there in a minute. But the main reason to why they dismissed their case, wrong venue. The courts cannot decide on an equity case in federal court.
Mm.
It's
has-
the wrong venue, guys. Before you go out spending $460 to file a federal case, you better know where you're filing. And you better go by the terms that you signed. First, you said you'll do arbitration. But the key is you said that you will contact them to work it out with them first. So that's when you will send them a pre-arbitration or pre-lawsuit. If they see that you didn't automatically took them to federal court, they're going to laugh at you because they know that that court can't rule. Okay? They can't rule on it because that's outside of their jurisdiction. We're talking about equity and law. Equity and law is arbitration only or chancery court in Delaware. Okay? So y'all remember that. Y'all got people telling y'all to go spend $460 for nothing. Now, doing a pre-federal lawsuit, depending on how you draw it up, will get their attention. But don't waste the money and lose your case because you went straight to federal court and you're in the wrong venue. And they had, well, how many people? 27? 27 private label trusts for which Citibank. So those were actual corporations. Those were actual companies. The companies that they are supposed to be the trustee for said that y'all not even doing what y'all supposed to do and took them to court and they lost. And let's go down. You want to do this one right here? Because remember I told y'all they appealed it, right? They appealed it because you can do appeals. Go ahead and do this one right here. They lost that too.
Yeah, it says on November 24th, 2015, the same investors that brought the federal case brought a new civil action in the Supreme Court of the state of New York related to 25 private label trusts for which Citibank allegedly serves or did serve as trustee. This case includes the 24 trusts previously dismissed in the federal action and one additional trust. The investors assert claim for breach of contract, breach of fiduciary duty, breach of duty to avoid conflicts of interest, and violation of New York Straight Act. The following oral argument on Citibank's motion to dismiss, or following oral argument on Citibank's motion to dismiss, plaintiffs filed an amended complaint on August 5th, 2016. On June 27th, 2017, the state court issued a decision dismissing the event of default claims, mortgage file related claims, the fiduciary duty claims, and the conflict of interest claim. The decision sustains certain breach of contract claims, including the claim alleging discovery of breaches of representations and warranties, a claim related to robo-signing, and the implied covenant of good faith claim. Citibank appealed the lower court's decision on January 16, 2018. The appellate division, First Department, dismissed the claims related to the robo-signing and implied covenant of good faith, but allowed plaintiffs' claim alleging discovery of breaches of representations and warranties to proceed.
So they lost again on appeal. But wait a minute. So I want y'all to see how deep it is filing in the wrong jurisdiction, right? Now, when you go to doing like credit reporting agencies and et cetera, doing a federal case against them, they'll fold because they're a credit reporting agency, right? Y'all have to remember the banks around the world. Okay, and we all know who's over the banks. Start with a J and end with an S. Okay, and it's only 4 letters. Catch my drift. Start with a J, end in an S. It's 4 letters. They own everything. Okay, so the companies tried to sue them. They lost. If you look right here, they filed the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. They filed a motion against them. The same thing, breach of contract, violation of the STRET Act. If you knew better, you will go look up this act. There's a lot of good stuff in there. Violation of the Trust Indenture Act. Citibank immediately filed for dismissal with the Bank of New York Mellon. Why do you think the Bank of New York Mellon and U.S. Bank was added in? Because y'all know that there is a indenture trustee bank. There's a trust bank, right? So yes, they're using Citibank, but their trustee banks is Bank of Mellon, New York, and U.S. Bank. They were sued by the FDIC. And on September the 30th of 2016, the court granted Citibank's motion to dismiss the complaint without prejudice for a lack of subject matter jurisdiction. What did I tell y'all?
I was about to say.
I want y'all to read it for yourself. I don't just be telling y'all shit while people around here telling y'all to file fucking federal courts and shit, because they used to be in my class 3 years ago and I just figured that out. But anyway. So don't go waste your 460. If the FDIC couldn't get it, you think you gonna get it? Period. The FDIC is supposed to control what they're doing. But because, and the FDIC knew that it was the wrong venue. Y'all know they all work together, right? So because they made a complaint with the FDIC had to play like they were really trying to help these people, knowing darn well that it's in the wrong jurisdiction, because it should have been in Chancery Court or it should have been in arbitration under FINRA, though, because now you're dealing with the deposit of securities. Okay. So it's very important for you to understand where you're supposed to be sending things, because sending it to the wrong court, you're going to lose. Every time you're going to lose, because it's the lack of subject matter jurisdiction. Okay. And then they quit after that. Y'all see, they stopped. That's it. And the Citibank denied liability and continued to vigorously defend against these litigations, right? But now, I guarantee you that if they would have went and got an audit report, this would have went a little different.
Oh yeah.
Citibank would have, it wouldn't even made it this far. Citibank would have folded, because while they're making all of these claims, breach of contract, breach of fiduciary duty, it ain't what you know, it's what you can prove, right? And when Citibank don't see no audit report that can get them put up under the jail because they are trading on the secondary market and they are not reporting it because they're considered a foreign company, and foreign companies do not have to report it, they're going to keep taking you to court, and they know that they're going to keep winning. But it has not been one case that I've had that these people, I didn't let them know that I got that audit report. They are quickly like, hey, how much do they want? What are we going to do to stop this? Can you not take it to court? And can you sign an NDA? And that's why you don't hear about a lot of cases of people winning, because they're going to make you sign an NDA. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They have to, because if you don't sign an NDA, then it can be put on the record and you can use that as a court case. Okay? So I hope that makes sense, because they're going to keep on denying liability until you can prove it. Okay. All right, where you want me to go now?
If we're still underneath the things there.
You want to go to 14.1? I mean 4.1?
Mm-hmm.
That's what you want me to go? Or the purchase agreement thing? You want me to go here?
Yeah, the indenture.
That 10.1 I messed too. All right. So if you guys notice that if you go and you get one of their forms, if you go through the table of contents, it'll take you to another one of their forms, right? So it's let you know that Hyundai Audible Receivables Trust, which you actually ended up with your loan after it was deposited for them to protect it. Now there's an agreement between Hyundai Receivables and Citibank. This is why ultimately they got sued, because Citibank is, as the indentured trustee, is responsible for all the stockholders, the funds, and et cetera. Where you want me to go?
Just right down to the definition. So I want people to look at the articles and their definitions. So if you look here, Article 1, definitions, other provisions, incorporation by reference. Article 2, could you just go back up for me?
Oh, I'm sorry, my bad.
So the notes. We've been talking about the notes. I want you to look at all the sections and you read through all of them, but look at this. Execution, authentication, and delivery, temporary notes, registration, transfer of exchange, mutilated, destroyed, lost, or stolen notes.
Wait, stop right
Persons
there.
deemed.
Stop right there at mutilated, destroyed, or lost or stolen notes. Remember in the beginning of the call, I said, do not detach the bottom from the top, because they're going to treat it like a bearer bond. They actually treat it as a mutilated. You mutilated it because you tore it up. So that's how they're able to cash in on it, because they don't know who it belongs to because you mutilated.
Yep.
Okay. All right, keep going.
Persons deemed owners. I wonder who that could be. Payment of principal and interest, defaulted interest, cancellation, book entry notes.
So y'all remember yesterday when I showed y'all in 31 CFR 328.5 how one of the stamps can say turn it into a book entry note. It tells you all up in here with how they turn it into a book entry note. And in the cancellation part, you know how you can cancel your contract, or cancel their security interest, and et cetera. Where you can get the approval to do that is in 2.09. Keep going.
Now, under their covenants, which I want you to pay attention to right here. Annual statement as to compliance. Successor or transferee. Compliance with regulation AB, right? Because they gave us the substitutions to regulation AB. It keeps on mentioning regulation AB. Go read regulation AB. But also, what I really want you to see is right under that, guarantees, loans, advances, and other liability. That's going to be another important section as notice of this default.
What you want me to do? I left. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Slow down a little bit more.
I would definitely. Did you get to the satisfaction and discharge, bro?
I was about to get to it.
Okay, go
So,
ahead.
satisfaction in discharge of indenture, application of trust money, repayment of monies held by paying agent, release of collateral. Now, Article 5, remedies.
Mm-hmm.
And they tell us everything. And it breaks it down article by article, section by section. So if you have a question, you know exactly where to look. If you want to know who are persons deemed owners, you go to section 2.1. If you want to know anything, it tells you where to go. But events of default, what constitutes default on their end? Section 504, remedies, priorities. Section 508, restoration of rights and remedies. Rights and remedies, cumulative. Control of the controlling class of note holders, waiver of
Oh,
past
wait.
defaults.
You skipped one that's really important. The unconditional rights of note holders
To receive principal
if
interest.
you to receive principal and interest. Hey guys, are you holding your note? How many of you guys got your note in front of you? So if you have a note and you're holding it, you're the note holder, right? So under section 5.07, I will go read that. Because see, when it's time for you to stand on this, you have to know how to stand on it. And it says that you are supposed to receive the principal and the interest. Now, do you see why inside of your contracts, as we showed you guys yesterday, they asked you, can they keep those payments?
And you
Because they
said
have
yes.
and you said yes, which is why we told you, scratch that part up. You're not doing that part no more, right? And then I would definitely go in section 5.07. And normally, all of these are set up the exact same.
Yep.
And everyone you look at, these are going to be the same things.
Yep. Article 4 is usually always discharge. They have remedies. I've looked at so many of these and they all are the same. They're all the same.
Okay,
But then when you look under Article 6, the indentured trustee, it's self-explanatory. Duties of indentured trustee, rights of indentured trustee, notice of defaults, reports by indentured trustee to holders. Note, so all of it is there. Replacement trustee, successor indenture by merger, all of the rules that you can hold them accountable to and their duties. But when you're claiming that there is a breach of their duties, you have to know what their duties are. And you find that in section 601. And then can you scroll down a little bit?
So you remember some of you guys was sending it to US Bank, their trust department, and they told you on the form, it said, give them instructions. One, they needed your QSUP number, right? Which you're going to ask for when you do the discharge with them. But then when you send it over to the trust side of it, they ask you to give them instructions. If Jamiris, are you on the line? Jamiris, if you want here, raise your hand for me. Can you click on Jamiris?
How do I spell that? I can search for him.
Oh
yeah, Jamiris Edwards, he's right there. Never mind.
Yeah, Jamiris.
Unmute, my good man.
Hello there. Did he unmute?
Yes, it's at least the mic. It says it's unmuted.
Jamiris.
Oh, he disappeared. Hold on. He was unmuted for a second. Hold on. Let me search for him again. Jameer. Oh, did he get kicked out? I think he may have.
It might have dropped. He'll come back. Yeah, trust me, he'll come back in. Jamiris, when he come back in, he'll raise his hand. So he has sent documentation over to US Bank, if I'm not mistaken, their trust department, to cash in his securities, right? They contacted him back and said, what do you want us to do with this? And what is the QSUP number?
Yep.
They never said that the bill wasn't a security, because it was a bill. If I'm not mistaken, it's for his credit card. They never said that the bill wasn't. What they said was, what do you want us to do with this? Because remember, everything has to be done by instructions only. And corporations can't speak, so they only know written language, their written language, right? So this Trust Indenture Act and these parts that you need, it tells you, here he's coming back in.
Yep, just saw him.
They're telling you, this is how you give them instructions, right? With 6.1, the duties of the indentured trustee. So when they get to talk about that ain't our duties, yeah, it is. How do you find their duties? It's right here. Jamiris, can you raise your hand for me?
I just asked him to unmute.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so you remember when I believe it was US Trust Bank that you sent something to, and they contacted you back and say, what are your instructions and what do you want us to do and what's the QSUP number?
They did all they asked was my QSUP number. They never asked me for my instructions.
Now, on the form that you filled out, didn't it say instructions? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember. The form that I did send you was the instruction that I sent them.
Right. They have the actual form, and I'll pull one up and I'll drop it. It's on my page, but it's further down. When you are dealing directly with the trustee indenture itself, on their form, in order for you to cash them in, there's a spot that says, give us instructions. You said who? So you have to give them instructions, but you can't give them instructions if you don't know what the instructions are. So that's why you come in here and you find their words. I know reading this stuff ain't fun. Trust me, it ain't, but it's in the long run, it does help you, right? Because you have to know what their rights is, especially when you get to the point where you're going to be directing them to be fiduciary, right? If you have a fiduciary that's over you, they only can act based off of what you tell them. And they only can do what they're legally allowed to do. And you know what that is? Whatever they sign for in here. Period. Whatever is in the Security Exchange Act, whatever is in the Trust Indenture Act, not Statute 15 U.S.C. 1692, not that. Because that's when you take them to court for equity and law. And statutes ain't law. You better pull out some CFRs. Okay. And there better not be no billing errors either. Because ain't no billing error. That's really your money that you gave them. Yo, when y'all be like, oh, the billing error didn't work. We didn't teach billing error. Because you know what? I went down that road years ago. Years ago with the billing error. And it's not a billing error. It's you gave away your security error. Go back and get it. You told them they could keep the money. Okay. So that's why it's important for you to pull these forms. If even when you're doing the regular discharge, if you want to be able to not just get your title, but to be able to receive your funds, you're going to have to be able to give them that information to do it. They can't talk. Corporations can't speak, guys. So it has to be written, and it better be in their wording. Their wording, okay? All right, keep going.
Okay, and then this is getting towards the bottom here. Note holders, lists, and reports. Note to registrar to furnish names and addresses of note holders. I'm not even. I don't think that requires further explanation.
But they have the address and the names of the note holders, right? But if you look at your note, let's just say it's Mercedes. You told Mercedes that they can have a note and that you waive all your rights to it. So you know why Mercedes is getting your money. Because they got their name on the register. Because you gave up your rights. Everything we dealing with, from our citizenship to everything, you agreed on it. You agreed on it. Okay? So that's why they got their address. So that's when you get to flipping stuff and you get to changing stuff and you getting to take their stuff away. But you make them do your work for you so that you don't have to. So your name will be in the register. So when you send bonds and stuff over to them, they already know who you are because you've now taken your rights back, okay?
Yep. All right. So, final things to look at here. Articles 8 to 9 and 10. We're looking at account disbursements and releases. So collection of money, trust accounts, general provisions regarding accounts. The supplemental indentures, that is going to be another important section, as well as the redemption of notes, because that's the one that y'all need to look at. Anyways, supplemental indentures without consent of note holders, supplemental indentures with consent of note holders, execution of supplemental indentures, and effect of supplemental indentures. Now, if you'll notice, sometimes when we're looking at these companies, I'll use T-Mobile as an example just because they're prevalent in my mind, they have numerous supplemental indentures. They signed an initial indenture agreement in 2015 with US Bank as their trustee. Since then, they have signed 9
What's this?
supplemental indentures, meaning 9 different agreements that are adding and modifying to the original agreement that they put in place. Now, that original agreement still stands, but it has been amended and supplemented on numerous occasions. So when it's talking about supplemental filings and the effect of supplemental filings, they're
Hold on,
talking about
whoever
when,
it is, I don't know how you're able to hit this and it go up on the screen, but stop touching it. Start, whatever your name is, start with F. I only can see part of it. Please, thank you. Go ahead, nephew, my bad.
yes, supplemental indentures, though, like I was saying, is when it modifies the term. So what you'll see, and this is why it's important to maintain the latest indenture, is because the indenture trustee on the 7th supplemental indenture might not be the same person who's listed on the 9th supplemental indenture. And there's also certain minor things that they change throughout the terms documents, but the main thing is making sure that you stay up to date with who the current trustee is and what the current terms of the agreement are. So that is important to understand as well, because if you're looking and you're struggling and you're trying to find trustees and you're like, okay, I don't know if it's this person, I don't know if it's this bank, because they have so many different filings, you have to understand how those work and how to go back to the beginning and then follow it from there to the current point. But Article 10, redemption, form of redemption and notes payable on redemption date. When it talks about redeeming the notes, and then in one of the earlier sections under Article 2, when it is talking about authentication of the note and how you have to send it to the trustee for them to authenticate it before they can do their job with it, that also goes into redemption. So all of these forms have everything we need, which is what we've been saying. It is all here.
And then
And I know we've never broke it down like this, but that's because we were expecting y'all to. But that's neither here nor there.
for you guys that's been at this for a minute, and you guys have requested, you might call it the private side accounting, accounting according to GAAP, and etc. Right? And they ignored you. But if you go right here under section 7, 0.5, page 46, note holder and note owner, those are 2 different people, right? You're the note holder. You gave your ownership away to the dealership, okay?
Mhm.
But you can demand for asset representation review. Page 46 to tell you how. So instead of writing them, asking them to give you accounting according to GAAP, because they're not, because they're gonna be like, what is that? Or a private side accounting, they don't know what that is. But what they do know is what asset representations review is, and they cannot deny you that. They can't.
Because, and this is where we try to explain, right? If I send them a letter and I say, according to your indenture trust agreement with Hyundai, I am allowed to request an asset representation review. So if you send that to them and they say, no, we're not going to give that to you, and they send that to you in writing, that's a clear breach of their obligations.
And you prove that you're the note holder by attaching a copy of your what? Your note.
Of your note with your name and
with
your
your name on
address.
it. There you go. So that's what you guys are to ask for. They still gonna get you, probably take forever, which is why it's good to get the physical audit done so that you can see. But you do have the right to ask for it. It's not what you're asking for, is how you're asking for it, which is why knowing their terms and using their words, not calling them talking about I got a promissory note. They don't know what that is on that side, right?
Nope.
They know you got an asset-backed security, right?
Yes.
If it was me trying to get an address to send my asset-backed security to them to cash it in, I will call and ask for that. I need your securitization department address and fax number, please. I need your investor services address and
Investor relations.
because you're an investor, right? You just gave up all your rights.
And when you call them from that angle, they talk to you differently. You see what I'm saying? If you say to them, I'm an investor and I have some securities and I don't know where to send them, I was never informed, they'll be like, oh, this is where you go to send your securities. This is the department. You see, they'll give you all that information. You just have to know how to speak their language. That's it. But if you go in there talking about where do I send my bill so that I can discharge my debt, they're not going to listen to you. In fact, they're going to be anti-listening to you, because I don't know if y'all understand these things, but they have little seminars. You see what I'm saying? They have little seminars, and especially the more that we get to doing this, the more people start stamping their documents and sending them to trustees. Now they're getting meetings, right? And they say, okay, what we have is a bunch of sovereign citizen peoples who don't want to pay their bills, and they're tax protesters, and they're the worst kind of people known to man. And if you see anything like this, it's because they just don't want to pay their bills. So when you tell that to somebody who's working at this place and is paying their bills, they're like, oh man, these people don't want to pay their bills. Like, why can't you know how it is? Why can't you just pay your bills? Why can't you just be a bot like me? That is what they want. So they train people to discriminate against you. But it's hard for them to discriminate against you if they can't put you into that category. And if you don't know enough, they will put you into that category.
Period.
They will.
Point and blank. They will. And when you guys, if whoever decides that they're going to start getting audits done, section 10.3, notes payable on redemption date, make sure you go read that. Because when you begin to read your audit, right, they have dates every month that they give out interest, right? Because technically the note is in your name. You just gave the money away, right, to them. Technically the money is in your name. If you get the proper audit report back, you're going to see your name on there and an amount. It's going to look like they paid you, but because you told them they can keep the money, they're going to keep it. But your name is definitely going to be there. No, I ain't seen one report that ain't had that person's name on there in the actual section where it shows that the note was transferred. They get paid out on the 18th. This is the amount. And the amount that they're paid out is always the same amount that they're trying to say that you owe them every month, believe it or not.
Every time.
Okay. So you get that every month until the note matures. Depending on the type of note it is, will depend on when it matures. Okay. Normally, like car contracts, etc., cell phones is 9 months. Because anything over that 9 months, now they got to report it. Mortgage contracts are 33 years. So imagine getting the payment, the amount that they say that you owe for 33 years, and then at the end of that 33 years, you get the full principal amount, which goes back to when we were talking about up here, where it talked about unconditional rights of note holders to receive principal and interest. Because you always get the interest first. And then at the end, when it matures, you get the principal amount. Okay. We hoping it's making sense to you. Okay. Where you want me to go now?
Just to miscellaneous here real quick, just because I want to go over a couple of these. More specifically, notices to indenture trustee. That will give you the exact address, because while we know that it's Citibank, it is Citibank, and they have an address and they have a specific department, a specific floor, and it will say attention to most likely corporate trust services. But I always put the trustee name as well and corporate trust services so that there's no confusion. That is the main thing. Notices to trustee and acts of note holders. Recording of indenture, and then more specifically, section 11.18, conflict with the Trust Indenture Act. You need to go read what happens when they are in conflict with the Trust Indenture Act and what that means. Because the Trust Indenture Act is the rules. So as you can see, they give you in these 11 articles everything that you could possibly need to know about who the notes belong to, where to send them, who to send them to, why you can send them, your ability to collect the interest, your ability to request review, your ability to cash in your notes. Everything is here. Everything is here. And then they will tell you the different types of notes that they have, because they have different classes. Class A1, class A2, class A2B, right? All of these different things. And then you get into the actual agreement where they get into it.
That's their granting clause. You'll tell them what they can do, how they can liquidate it, and etc. Remember how we told y'all they give y'all the definitions of the words? They right here. These are the definitions that you want to know, not black law. Okay? Black law is not going to help you. But they gave you the definitions. And if you actually look at any of your bills that they send you in the mail, you turn them around on the back, or depending on what type of bill it is within the little envelope that they sending you that's fraud. It tells you what their definitions is, right? With the first one, and they do it in alphabetical order, with the first one being account, right? The very first thing that they ask you when you call these people, can I get your name and account number? The definition of account to them means to deposit. To deposit. That's the definition of account in their terminology. So what are they depositing? The money that you told them they can keep every month. Right? Because ultimately what Hyundai did was they sold all the titles to Citibank. They use the asset, which is the title, not the vehicle, as the collateral, asset-backed security. So they were fronted the money. Okay, they got fronted. Y'all that's been in the street, you know what a front is. You got to go back and pay the man, don't you? Right. So they got fronted the money to make these vehicles. That's why every car on the lot is already paid. And then they had to pay Citibank back. You're paying Citibank back instead of them. That is why Citibank name is on the title, right? Because they use that title as collateral. But where in America or not in America can you owe me something and I got collateral on it and then I sell it to somebody else? For you guys that's been with me for a minute, y'all have heard me say that if you want to clean your credit report real quick, transfer liability of the debts to a business name, to a trust name, and it's going to show up on your end paid as agreed. So guess what Hyundai did? Hyundai transferred liability of the debt to you because of what you signed. That's all. That's it. That's why their name is on the title. It has nothing to do with you outside of the fact that when you say, do we have the right to transfer? Read your contract. They didn't tell you that that right to transfer is not only for them to transfer your note through different channels to get paid. That transfer means you are giving us the right to transfer our debt, our liability of debt that we owe this bank. You're now going to take it on our behalf. That's messed up. So that's how I want y'all to look at that. But guess what? You can transfer that debt back to them. You can. You can pay Citibank off since they transferred the debt to you to get their name off of the title. You stamp it, endorse it, and turn that thing around to the back and have paid to the order of Citibank. Now, Citibank paid. Right? Because at the end of the day, Citibank just want their money back. They don't care who they get it back from. That's like if somebody owe you, if Tasha got the money from you, but Tasha mama paid you, you don't care because Tasha mama paid you, but you got your money back. And that's the way that they're looking at it. Okay? Go ahead, nephew.
Can you scroll down just a little bit?
Absolutely.
All right, let's get into it. Oh, hold on. Stop right there. So Indentured securities means the notes. The indentured security holder means the note holder. All right, and you can keep going.
Before we go down some more, y'all see where it says indentured trustee or institutional trustee?
Mhm.
Means the indentured trustee, right? If you go pull up the Trust Indenture Act, which is nothing but like 39 pages, that's the easiest one for y'all to read. And to be honest with you, that's y'all playbook. Everything in the Trust Indenture Act, you can tell them to do. Okay. So for some of y'all that like to jump around to all of us that's trying to teach this because you're trying to learn, and you've seen people say they can be your trustee, right? Unless they are an institutional trustee, which means the indentured trustee, they cannot be your trustee. They have to be an institutional trustee. And under the Trust Indenture Act of 1939, it says that an institutional trustee is a trustee that has at least $150,000 worth of assets and has a contract on file with the Security Exchange. So the next time one of these people try to say, I can be your trustee, or they tell you to get a trustee and it's somebody foreign in another country and you don't know who they are, because I know it's people out here doing that too. They tell you, oh, you need a trustee, and I got somebody over in Iran that can be your trustee, and you talking to somebody foreign on the phone that can't even understand that. Do you know you just gave them all your stuff? And at any time they can take it. Because you're supposed to be your own trustee, right? And then you're supposed to get into a relationship via a security agreement with the institutional trustee, which is the indentured trustee, which is a bank.
Thanks. I was
All right, let me go.
right here. Right here. Okay. So, as you can see, it's 202, execution, authentication, and delivery. The notes shall be executed on behalf of the issuer by any of its authorized officers. The signature of any such authorized officer on the notes may be manual or facsimile. Facsimile. I don't even know how to pronounce that.
Facsimile.
Facsimile.
Mm.
The notes shall be issuable as registered notes in minimum denominations of $1,000 and in integral multiples of $1,000 in excess thereof. No note shall be entitled to any benefit under this indenture or be valid for any obligatory or obligatory for any purpose unless there appears on such note a certificate of authentication substantially in the form provided herein, executed by the indenture trustee by the manual signature of one of those authorized signers. In such certificate upon any note shall be conclusive evidence and the only evidence that such note has been duly authenticated and delivered here under.
That was that right there. Y'all got your contract? Whose signature on there? So remember I told y'all that looks like y'all created the contract? Yeah. And right here where it talks about the note shall be issuable as a registered note in a minimum denominations of $1,000. If you've been with me for a minute, why is it $1,000? Can somebody tell me? Pick somebody raise their hand. You know, I can't see him, Caleb. You can pick somebody. Pick Caleb, drop off.
Oh, sorry, Auntie. I was muted. I was saying, oh, actually, nobody can hear me. David Morgan Jr. Sorry. Going one. Oh, there we go.
I don't know the answer to that, man.
Oh, okay. Well,
I like your honesty. Guess what? You're gonna know it before
it.
this call over. You're gonna know it before this call over with.
All right.
If you've been with me for a minute, and you've taken my classes, what is the significance of the denomination of $1,000? If you don't know, put your hand down, please, so we can know who to call on. So,
All right. Moon Bay. Moon Bay going once. Nope.
Yeah, I definitely don't know.
All right.
okay,
Appreciate the honesty. On to the next.
anybody? Going
Yep,
once.
I just asked somebody to unmute.
Let me look in
Sent
here.
Jennings Bashar. Yep,
I was gonna say that banks are only allowed to have that amount at a time.
Nope. Let me look and see where. Hold on. I'm about to find one of my old students, and you better know this answer. Hmm. I know that's right. Michael got his hand up. All right, Michael.
Michael.
It's a wild guess. Does it have something to do with the Stamp Act and the taxes?
No.
All right. Never
It's
mind.
okay though. It's
Thank
okay.
you.
You're welcome. I
You
appreciate
guys-
your time.
You guys rock, period.
Thank you.
You're
you,
very
guys.
welcome.
Let me see who else in here. One of my old students that I know was in that class. Antoinette. Antoinette Marshall. You unmuted.
I
Go
know
ahead.
it. I know it. I know it.
What is it?
Nikki Don. Is it because of the at par rate?
Yes.
Treasury bill? I know that's right.
Beautiful.
I know
Oh
that's
my
right. I know
She
that's
got
right.
that right.
I
She
know
got
that's
that
right. Hey,
Okay,
hey.
y'all. Yes. Okay, so let me tell you guys what she's speaking of. Okay. Thank you so much, Antoinette. Send me a DM real
No,
quick.
that's Nikki Don. Nikki Don. That's Nikki Don, not Antoinette.
Okay, Nikki died. Send
Thank
me.
you,
Are
boo.
you? Send me a message on DM and Instagram right now for me. Okay, I got something.
Okay.
For you. That let me know you've been studying, honey, because that class was a couple
Yes,
months ago.
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, guys. So, what she means by the at par rate? Okay. Remember how all securities are the responsibility of the United States, right? They're responsible for all the debt. We all know that. Okay. So when I say that these companies are getting paid in threes, okay, because everything is numerology, 33, they do everything in threes. So when you originally do your note, and this is why you're ultimately filing 1099As and 1099Cs, okay, because you were the investor in the beginning. So when you originally sign a note and you give it to them, they cash it in with the United States Treasury. Why? Because they are responsible for all the public debt, right? But we know the government cheap. So the government only gives them what is called a at par rate. It is $100 on every $1,000, which is why it has to be a minimum of $1,000 for them to accept it. Okay, run that back again. For every $1,000 that your note is worth, the government, the treasury window, whatever you want to call it, gives them $100 on every $1,000. It is called the discounted par, PAR rate. Okay. So when I say that they switch liability of debt, because they actually supposed to pay the government back. It's like a loan that they're getting. They're making you pay it back. Okay. But they're greedy. So then they take, because they only got a discounted par rate, right? For y'all that like to do 1099 OIDs and stuff, you need to know this because you don't know what amount to put there. So divide them thousands by 100 per 1,000 And that's how you actually get the accurate number to go on your OIDs, but that's a whole nother class for a whole nother day. But then they take it, so the treasury is considered the primary market. That's what's on the books, okay? And due to the fact that you lent them the money, that's where your actual tax return come from and why they say you owe them. Another class for another day. So they only got the discounted rate, which is $100 for every $1,000. But then they went to the secondary market. Who can tell me what is considered the secondary market? There's a couple of them. I know that's why I got 50 hands that popped up. Pick somebody for me. Okay.
Let's see. Ashley Jenkins. Going once.
I had my hand actually raised for the last one for the app hard. Pass on me. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Do-do-do-do.
But now, if you know the app part, Ashley, I know you know who the secondary market is. If the primary market is the treasury, the secondary market is who? Somebody tell me.
Okay, the secondary market, wouldn't that be like the stock exchange? Wouldn't that be like Fidelity and into the stock markets? Wouldn't that be what that is?
Not Fidelity, it would be New York Stock Exchange.
The New York Stock Exchange, right?
It would be,
And I mean,
yeah.
would it go
NASDAQ.
off? So would it go beyond also NASDAQ, like the Chinese markets and the London markets as well? Is that also the secondary market, just in different international
Interesting.
states?
Absolutely. I'm happy you asked that. So remember how we talked about how every last one of these companies are considered foreign liability companies, right? Because they are, so that is why they're foreign, so that they can trade in the international market.
Right.
So yes, they sell them to all of them. So guys, primary market is the treasury at par rate, $1,000, $100 on every 1,000. But they're greedy. And then they sell it to the secondary market, which is NASDAQ and foreign and et cetera, as Ashley, right, just said. Okay. So when you guys start getting your audit reports, now it's on the record for the at par rate, but you know what's not on the record? You know where they're violating their Trust Indenture Act at? They're violating security laws. They're committing money laundering, tax evasion, a RICO. Secondary market, because they're not reporting them. Because the Security Exchange says if they're foreign, they do not have to report it. But it also says that they cannot commit fraud. I hope y'all caught that.
So one more question on that, if I may. One more question on that. Okay, so they've taken our security, essentially. They've put it on the secondary markets. Is there a way to look up the QSIP numbers then on the market, or is that a part of the derivatives that are hidden?
So they are considered hidden unless, that's why I've been working so hard, y'all, and I got to find y'all the right auditor. The audit report. So remember how I've said several times, and you're going to keep hearing me say it, the audit report makes them bow down to you like you Queen Elizabeth. Okay. Is she still alive? She just changed consciousness, changed bodies. Yeah. Because now you can prove their fraud. So y'all remember up here where we talked about asking them for the private side accounting and this, that, and the other, but you can ask them up under, where it go? The note holder and note owner demand for asset representation review. Let me tell you something. I've seen people in court ask for this paperwork. I have seen people in arbitration ask for this paperwork. And you know what they're going to tell you? We don't believe it. So I've heard arbitrators say it. I've heard court officials say it, right? Because it's technically out of their jurisdiction. Why? Because they're foreign. And anything foreign can't pass the court test, which is why I tell all of y'all, get a foreign express trust. it don't pass the court test. Okay, we'll go over that if I do a trust class.
Yeah.
But
Thank you.
so if you get the audit report will show that. And once they know you have the audit report, which you can technically get them in trouble with the SEC because of all of the things that I named, money laundering, RICO, and etc., they bow down and give you what you want. But that is ultimately why they make you sign an NDA, because they don't want you to give that report to anybody else, because someone will end up in jail, which is ultimately what happened in the 2008 foreclosure. A bank representative whistleblowed on the bank, and they still didn't help the people, but a couple of bankers went to jail, but it was overshadowed by so many people losing their houses. Okay. So yeah, it can be pulled up. And guess what? All of that money belongs to you. That's why your contract, when we showed you yesterday, says that they can keep all the proceeds. That's our proceeds that technically belong to you. That shows it gave it back to you, but because of your contract, you gave it back to them. Okay, so now you guys know if you ever ask for private side accounting, why they will not give it to you. Because you can nail, excuse my French, they ass to the wall. Okay, all right. So y'all remember that at par rate, secondary market, because you guys are investors, you have to know this information. Where you want me to go now?
Dun, dun, dun.
Ooh.
Reading.
So right here.
Upon surrender for registration of transfer of any note at the office or agency of the issuer to be maintained as provided in section 302, if requirements of section 8401A of the UCC are met, the issuer shall execute and the indenture trustee shall authenticate, and the note holder shall obtain from the trustee in the name of the designated transferee or transferees one or more new notes of the same class in any authorized denominations of a like aggregate principal amount.
So you see that they said under the UCC, which is the Uniform Commercial Code, every state has one, and then there's one on the federal level. So that's how you are able to tie in the Uniform Commercial Code when you are going to get your remedy. Okay. So for you guys that got the stamp, you know that stamp says for them to either turn it into a book entry security or a security of new issue. This is why. It says that once they execute it, they authenticate it, which is your signature, they're authenticated. They should obtain the indentured trustee, the transferee, which is you, because you transferred it. If you did a cosign, it's two of you, that's transferees. That's why there's an S there. One or more new notes of the same class. So they take your note, they transfer it into another note, and then they take it and they put it on the market. But it's still all belong to you. Okay, keep going.
All right. Now, no service charge shall be made to the holder for any registration of transfer exchange notes, but the issuer or the indentured trustee may require payment of a sum sufficient to cover any tax or other governmental charges that may be imposed in connection with any registration of transfer or exchange of notes other than exchanges pursuant to section 203 or 905, not involving any transfer.
Okay, wait, I won't go back up. I won't go back up. Okay, so I'm right here, y'all. Okay, I'm right here. So we already talked about how they can exchange it for other notes. That's the stamp.
All notes issued upon any registration of transfer or exchange of notes shall be the valid obligations of the issuer, evidencing the same debt and entitled to the same benefits under this indenture as the notes surrendered upon such registration of transfer or exchange. Every note presented or surrendered for a registration of transfer or exchange shall be duly endorsed by or accompanied by written instrument of transfer in the form satisfactory to the indenture trustee, duly executed by the holder of the note, the holder thereof, or of such holder's attorney, duly authorized in writing with a signature guaranteed by an eligible grantor institution
Stop right
meeting
there,
the
folks.
determined.
Stop right there, folks. Right there. So I remember how when we were talking earlier and I was talking to Jamaris and I said, they asked you to give them instruction, right? And I got this form is on my page. I'll pin it so it can go to the top where you gave them the note, right? Every note presented or surrender for registration or transfer for exchange. Now they already told you up here that you can transfer it or exchange it for authorized denominations of the principal amount. That's how you get your money back, okay? Because it's considered authorized denomination, right? That's exchanged at the office or agency. That's the trustee. But then for you guys who had to get the medallion signature, this is why. You can't transfer security without a medallion signature guarantee, which is why you get that stamp done. Or when Caleb did his car contract, he had them stamp the back of it. His was a certified notary stamp, but it was from the bank. That medallion signature is the best thing that you can ever get. And so if you notice that when you are ready to transfer them, and I'm going to pin that to the top of my page, where you are sending them the note, right? And you're giving them written instructions of where to transfer it to. There's a spot on that form for the medallion signature guarantee. Okay, go ahead. You can go ahead, nephew. You muted.
Yep, I was. Sorry. I was saying I was trying to see if I wanted to cover anything here or move on.
Yeah, cover this right here because, or I'll start it. No service charge shall be made to a holder. You're the holder. They cannot charge you a service charge to register, transfer, and exchange your notes. But the issuer of the indentured trustee may require payment of a sum sufficient to cover any tax or other governmental charge that may be imposed in connection with any registration or transfer of the notes. So y'all remember in the primary market, the first place they take it to is where? The Treasury. The Treasury is the government. So that fee, once again, that belongs to them, they're making you pay. And this right here proves it. That's the only fee that they can charge because technically they owe the government back that ad par rate. Okay. Okay, you go ahead.
Now, pay attention to this bottom paragraph here. By acquiring a note or interest therein, each note holder and note owner, and if the note holder or note owner is a plan, its fiduciary, is deemed to represent and warrant that either it is not acquiring such note or interest with the assets of a plan, and the acquisition and holding of such note or interest therein, it will not, in the case of a benefit plan investor, give rise to a non-exempt prohibited transaction under Section 406 of ERISA or Section 4975 of the code, or in the case of a plan that is subject to similar law, result in violation of such similar law, and B, acknowledge and agree that the benefit plan investors and plans that are subject to similar law may not acquire such note or any interest therein at any time such note does not have an investment grade rating from at least one nationally recognized statistical rating organization.
So I'm gonna go back up here for 1 second. Let's talk about taxes. So remember when I told you, you guys actually lent a security to the company. That's why when you're filing 1099-As, you are in the lender box, okay? You're in the lender box, they are in the debtor box, right? So you remember I just told you that the taxes that you're actually paying at the beginning of the year has nothing to do with your employment check, right? The law says that as long as they file a 1099-A, they do not have to file a 1099-C. It's because they are helping them commit fraud. Okay, because on the 1099-A, you are considered the lender to the bank. Okay, but when the bank goes and does the at par rate with the treasury, they are now responsible for the taxes, because taxes are only supposed to be paid on securities, because income is considered a gift under tax class 5. Wages is a gift. So if you owe taxes, you can use that law to get up out of it. But look at what it says. Any notes or interest therein retained by the issuer or a person that is considered the same person as the issuer for the United States federal tax purposes may not be transferred for U.S. federal income tax purposes to another person. But due to the fact that the company never filed the 1099-C, it looks like you owe that federal income tax, which once again, they committed fraud because what did they do? They transferred their debt over to who? You. The same thing your job does, because you're really paying your job taxes, but that's something else to talk about on another day. Okay?
Absolutely.
And it also says such notes will be debt. Remember, I said that the United States have to pay off all the debt. It says that such notes will be the debt for the U.S. federal income tax purposes, that the sale of such notes will not cause the issuer to be treated as an association or a publicly traded partnership taxable as a corporation. All of these companies that are filed in the SEC is a publicly traded corporation. They cannot legally give you their debts. But ultimately, if you notice, if you buy a lot of things in a year, if you buy a car or you buy a house or etc., you'll notice that year they say you owe more taxes than it was the previous year. This is why, because the bank has now transferred their debt over to you because they never filed the appropriate 1099-C to do the cancellation of the debt, where you're now in the debtor's box, because remember, the United States is responsible for all what? Debt.
Yeah.
So the 1099-C is what makes them pay the debt for you. So that's how, when it comes to you guys doing your 1099-Cs for student loans and etc., they just go ahead and they discharge it off because they never filed immediately because they never filed the 1099-C. Okay, and it's easier for them to prove fraud in a student loan due to the fact that it's federal, and if the federal is responsible for all the debt, that is why ultimately they struck down Biden's student relief bill. It had nothing to do with Republicans and Democrats because they playing to both of them. Okay, they playing to everybody. They all the same. Okay, Congress said, why are we signing a bill for you to eliminate debt that the books already show was discharged?
Discharged.
Okay. Again, right here. Hold on. Let's go back to this. It said, in addition, if for tax or other reasons, it may be necessary to track such notes. If the notes have original issue discount. You get it?
And y'all got to understand, taxes are filed quarterly. You see what I'm saying? So when you put in that 1099, by the time the quarter changes and they have processed their tax returns for that quarter, that debt will drop off if it doesn't drop off before. But sometimes it will take long, but it's all about when they get to processing it. But again, the taxes are processed every quarter, every 3 months.
Yep. And when you guys,
So you have to be mindful when you're trying to discharge something of the timelines. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, every 3 months, like you said, is when they do their quarterly. And what you will see is, if you ever, and I've showed an audit report, I'll show one at another time, but it will show you that every quarter, remember how I said it looks like they gave the money back to you? And you're going to notice it's at every quarter that it looks like they gave you a lump sum. This is what your actual taxes that they're charging you every year for. It ain't got nothing to do with an employer, because employer tax are voluntary. Stop paying on people's stuff. Okay, get your money back.
voluntary compliance. It'll tell you that on the IRS website. It is voluntary. When you first signed that agreement, you elected to become a federal taxpayer. It is a crime for someone to compel your social security number. They can't make you give up your social security number to get a job.
And then
So
it lets you know that the provisions of this section are exclusive and shall preclude to the extent lawful. You see, they didn't say legal, they said lawful, because remember, equity notes is equity
legal
in law, and y'all know it's a difference between lawful and legal. Okay, all other rights and remedies with the respect to the transfer of notes. The moment that you transferred it to them, that's their debt. The moment they transferred it, they can no longer lawfully under the UCC, there you go, under the UCC. Once a debt is transferred, they cannot charge you, because under the UCC, federal and state says that only the original creditor can charge you. At the moment that they sold it, they cannot make you pay that debt any longer.
It tells you in the UCC, when they transfer the note, they don't transfer the rights of a holder in due course. They cannot transfer their ability to collect payment from you. Are you starting to understand why it is an issue? There's not supposed to be a break in the chain of title.
Never. And on a mortgage, man, wow. On a mortgage, the title and the deed split like
this. One
Yeah,
going to the trust, the other one go back to the investors.
And that's illegal. And they cannot do that. They
Nope,
cannot.
it's
And
never-
so that's why, let's just say you did get your car from Hyundai, right? And for you guys that have pulled SBG Global reports and it tell you how the note moves, once it was transferred, at the moment that it was transferred to the Hyundai Automobile Receivable Trust, it was no longer your debt any longer, right?
Nope.
Citibank doesn't even own it any longer, but they get paid a percentage to still keep calling you. Like, they are considered the servicer, even though they sold it. They don't even know where them notes be at. They
Nope.
done sold it and flipped it so many times, they couldn't even tell you where it was, period. So they are committing fraud by still acting as the servicer, because they get a percentage, including the car dealership. Once they transfer it, they still get a percentage of each one of the notes to keep up the fraud. But at the moment that it was transferred to a third party, you are no longer can be held responsible for that debt under the UCC. All right, go ahead.
And that's why they deny that they transfer it, or they try to. Can you scroll right down to the right under right here, 206. Mutilated, lost, or stolen notes, and then following that, payment of principal and interest. So we're gonna get into these, because this is the meat and potatoes right here. So if any note is surrendered to the indentured trustee, or the indentured trustee receives evidence to a satisfaction of the destruction, loss, or theft of any note, and there is delivered to the trustee such security or indemnity as may be required by it to hold the issuer indenture trustee harmless, then in the absence of the note to the issuer, the note registrar or the indenture trustee that such note has been acquired by a protected purchaser, and provided that requirements of section 8405 of UCC are met, the issuer shall execute, and upon an issuer order, hold on. The indenture trustee shall authenticate and deliver in exchange for or in lieu of any such mutilated, destroyed, lost, or stolen note, a replacement note of the same class, provided, however, that if any such destroyed, lost, stolen note, but not mutilated note, shall have become within 15 days, shall have become or within 15 days shall be due and payable or shall have been called for redemption, instead of issuing a replacement note, the issuer may pay such destroyed, lost, or stolen note in lieu of which such a replacement note was issued, presents for payment such an original note. The issuer and the indenture trustee shall be entitled to recover such replacement note or such payment from the person to whom it was delivered, or any person taking such replacement note from such person to whom such replacement note was delivered, or any assignee of such person, except a protected purchaser, and shall be entitled to recover upon the security or indemnity provided, therefore, to the extent of any loss, damage, cost, or expense incurred by the issuer or the indenture trustee in connection therewith. Upon the
Okay.
issuance,
Wait, before you move on, I'm gonna go back up here. I'm still in the mutilated, destroyed, or lost notes. Okay. Right here. There you go. The trustee receives evidence to its satisfaction of the destruction, loss, or theft of any note. There is delivered to the indenture trustee such security or indemnity as may be required by to hold the issuer and the trustee harmless, that in absence of the note to the issuer, the indenture trustee shall authenticate and deliver in exchange for in lieu such mutilated, destroyed, lost, or stolen note, a replacement note of the same class. So remember when I told you guys, oh, I skipped the part. Hold on. Should be acquired. This is important right here. The issuer, the indenture trustee, where I go? The note register or the indenture trustee that such note has been acquired, which means given to them, by a protected purchaser. Who do you think the protected purchaser is? You. So remember how we talked about earlier that when you disconnect the bottom from the top of the bond, you just committed fraud. It's considered a mutilated note. But because they can say that they got it from the protected purchaser, because remember, you mailed it back to them, or you're on paperless billing, you're the protected purchaser. It was mutilated. So all they have to do is ask for a replacement note. This is why they did everything as paperless billing. Or this is why at the bottom of your note, your bills, it said tear here. They want you to mutilate it. So don't forget, the bottom got your name on it. The top got your name on it. The account has your name on it. So they can prove that you are the protected purchaser, but it has been mutilated or destroyed. And now they can replace it of another note of the same class. Okay. That's why you don't want to tear the bottom part off, because like I said, it's considered securities fraud. And under section 8405 of the UCC, once again, and the fact that you are the protected purchaser, you're helping them to commit fraud by detaching a part of there. And it's false and misleading for them to put at the bottom of there, detach here. Okay, just for y'all to see that. Okay, where you want me to go now?
I was going to keep on reading, actually. So, upon the issuance of any replacement note under this section, the issuer may require the payment by the holder of such note of a sum sufficient to cover any tax or governmental charge that may be imposed in relation thereto, and any other reasonable expenses, including the fees, expenses, and indemnities of the indenture trustee connected therewith. Every replacement note issued pursuant to this section in replacement of any mutilated, so when they tell you to cut off the bottom, destroyed, lost, or stolen note, shall constitute an original addition, contractual obligation of the issuer, whether or not the mutilated, destroyed, lost, or stolen note shall be at any time enforceable by anyone, and shall be entitled to all the benefits of this indenture equally and proportionately with any and all other notes duly issued here under. And again, this provision in the sections are exclusive and shall preclude to the extent lawful all other rights and remedies with respect to the replacement or payment of mutilated, lost, or destroyed notes.
Boom. So stop tearing the bottom off. Okay. I'm gonna do section 2.07.
Go ahead.
Because now we've told you guys that you are the no owners, right? Section 2.07 tell you are. Listen to it. Prior to due presentment for registration. Prior.
When you get your bill every month.
Okay. Prior to them transferring the note, the issuer, the indentured trustee, and any agent of the issuer or the indentured trustee may treat the person in whose name any note is registered. That's your name on the bill.
So hold up. Who is
the owner? Hold on. As the owner of such note, for the purpose of receiving payments of principal of and interest in any on such note. Remember I told y'all account means to deposit. So when they get to telling you that you ain't the owner, I'll drop their ass down here to section 2.07. Because before they sent that to presentment to the treasury with the stamp on there, that is your note. It has your name on there. And you are the owner and they are receiving payments in your account, which is to deposit the principal and the interest. Did y'all get that? Did that go over anybody's head? Anybody?
I know it did go over their heads though. The indentured trustee and any agent of the issuer or the indentured trustee. So who is that? Who is the agent or issuer besides the trustee? Who knows? Who knows who the agent for the trustee is? Or the issuer? Who is it? I'm about to ask. If you don't know the answer, which company? Which company? Who said that?
Come on back in here, because you're right. We just want to know which company you're talking about.
Which company?
We all in
Yes,
here
sir.
learning. So no answer is the wrong answer, because the only way you're going to learn is by trying to figure it out, right? But we want to make sure that you guys, because you're going to have to be able to stand on this, okay? So ain't no question a dumb question, and ain't no answer is, I'll never say it's wrong. I just say it's unknown until you know it. It is the company. Is any company that's up under them. So you see how Hyundai got 5 or 6 companies, they're all a part of there, right?
They got like 20. If you go onto the ABS 15G and click on that the index and you see all the company names, they got like 20 different companies. Because Kia is also Honda. I didn't know that, but yeah, Kia is under them. A lot of Kia financing, motor, all of that. Just like 30 companies that they have. So all of those companies are able to treat the person in whose name the note is registered as the owner of such note. Which is why you can send it to the companies like we told you yesterday to pay them. And then go back to get your money.
Go back to get your money. But wait a minute. Let's go down to section 2.8. Okay. Section 2.8. So they have different classes of notes, depending on the company will depend on how they class it. So as y'all know, they got A2, A2, A3. That's internal, okay? It says shall accrue interest. So remember how I keep telling you guys that the payment that the bill they're sending you every month is your interest. That is your dividend payment, okay? So they pay it at a class A1 rate. Okay, so they tell you the different classes. They got an exhibit of which them is. Y'all can go pull them up, but I want to go down here. And such interest shall be payable on each payment date. Don't Capital One say you owe them on the 9th, because that's the day they were supposed to pay you. And it is subject to section 301. It also says any installment of interest or principal payable on the note that is punctually paid or duly provided by the issuer, right? So the issuer will be Capital One, on the applicable payment date shall be paid to the person whose name is on the note and is registered on the record date by check. This is why we say that
I'm
that's
sorry?
a check.
I'm
Mail,
sorry?
first class postage, prepaid to such person address. Now, how many of y'all
Sorry?
bills got a stamp on it? They're prepaid, guys. They're prepaid
Uh,
envelopes.
Did that not just say that the payment is due to the person who's the owner of the note? It didn't say that the payment was it said that the payment was yours. So when you're going to them and you're saying you owe me money, this is where you pull it. According to your indenture agreement with Hyundai, I am entitled to receive payment of this note as I am the holder. You are the trustee, and if you refuse to do your obligations, you will be in breach of this obligation. Breach of fiduciary obligation, securities fraud, tax fraud, all of those things tie up under this. But this is what you do. You print it out and you highlight. This is me, right? You have to build a case. They can't say no to their own words. And it gets even better. It gets even better from here.
There you go. And
The
they telling you that
principal of each note shall be payable in installments on each payment date. It doesn't get any clearer than this.
in the person name of such note by first class postage. Somebody gonna pull one of your bill receipt envelope. It say first class prepaid postage on it, don't it? They ain't got no regular stamp on there because it's your check. But wait a minute. Wait. Let's go some more. Please, I don't know how y'all able to do that when y'all touch y'all screen, but it's okay. Where we go.
We were gonna get to that, but yeah, please don't use the whiteboard.
I'm gonna figure out how to cut that off. So you know that the record date is the day they say you owe you. They say you owe them. You know that that's a check because they said it. I didn't. They said it, right? If you look at the bottom of it, it's routing an account number, just like a check. Because if you go ask one of your great grandparents, Chase still does it. You got to get the right person. Where back in the day, you can take the bottom and you can go and deposit it into your account. Of course, they don't teach them that any longer. You got to get somebody that's been at the bank for 50, 11 years to know. But yes, you used to be able to take it in because it's considered a check, okay? And it also says, with respect to the notes registered on the record date, in the name of the nominee, which is you, of the clearing agency, right? Initially, such nominee can be CD and Co. So the nominee, the clearing agency, if it's Capital One is the clearing agency. That's the name that's up there. Payment shall be made by wire transfer and immediately available funds to the account designated by such nominee. If the account is so designated provided, however, the final installment of principal payment with respect to such note on the payment date or the related stated maturity date, including the redemption price for any note called for redemption pursuant to 1001, shall be payable as provided in B below. The funds represented by any such check return undelivered will be held in accordance to 303. So when you guys don't redeem your money, right? That lost money website that every state has, when they say you can find your lost money, when they can't deliver it, which is ultimately why they started paper billing as well, so they can say that they could not deliver it to you, they're going to hold it and then they're going to give it to your state. Okay? The principal of each note shall be payable in installments on each payment date. That's why every month there is a particular date, because they must pay it to you in installments. Notwithstanding the foregoing, the entire unpaid principal amount of the notes may be declared immediately due and payable if not previously paid in the manner in a provided in section 502. So you know how I say you can take your entire contract instead of sending them things in every month. You can take the entire contract so that they can go ahead and pay it off. That's basically what they're talking about. Okay. Okay.
Get your
It also
money
says
back.
in C that if the issuer defaults in the payment of the interest on the notes, the issuer shall pay defaulted interest at the applicable interest rate in any lawful manner on the next due date. So you know how every day you're gaining interest on your account? They technically supposed to pay you that, not you paying it to them. Okay.
Real simple.
All notes surrender for payment, registration of transfer, exchange, or redemption shall, if surrendered to any person other than the indentured trustee, be delivered to the indentured trustee and shall promptly canceled by the indentured trustee. So what that means is if you sent your bill to Capital One instead of Capital One's and trustee, and you know how they call y'all about, what do you want us to do with this? Tell them section 2.09 says that you're supposed to send it to deliver it to your indentured trustee, and you should properly cancel. It should be properly canceled by the indentured trustee.
Yep.
Okay. So the point of all of this, guys, they show you everything. They tell you everything. Now you know where to get it from.
And there's even more.
Oh yeah.
Like we didn't even get through a quarter of this form, and it already is telling you everything you need to know. But it's talking about section 502, section 302, right? Referencing how they're supposed to handle payments. All of that information, it's a self-referential document. It's self-contained. Everything that you need is in their filings. I don't need to go to Cornell Law to get information about how to discharge my bill with Honda, because all of that information is available for me here on the SEC. And their words say that I'm allowed to redeem these notes. Their words say that if I send it to anybody who is an agent of the trustee, they got to send it to the trustee so the trustee can authenticate and give me my money.
Now,
that's what it says.
Section 2.10, very important section. Because of the Electronic Funds Transfer Act, they have turned everything into book entry securities, right? Notes. So remember I told you guys that, you can get the other stamp to save you time. And this is why. The notes, other than any restricted notes, none of these notes are restricted. Okay. So the notes upon original issue will be issued in a form of a typewritten note representing the book entry notes to be delivered to the depository trust company. So you know how that stamp says send it to the United States Treasury, and then the stamp that the bank puts on there, they put it to the actual Federal Reserve that it goes to. This is what they're talking about. To be delivered to the depository trust company, the initial clearing house, by or on behalf of the issuer. The book entry note shall be registered initially on the note register in the name of C&D, the nominee of the initial clearing agency, and no note owner thereof will receive a definite note representing such note owner's interest in such note. This is how they are getting away with it. Right here.
It's all here. This is the playbook. This is how you win. Because again, it's not Caleb and Tamika said. It is you said. You said you would do this. You signed this form. You agreed that you would have these obligations, and now you don't want to perform? No, no, no. And that's why, but again, it's not about what you know, it's about what you can prove. Because even with all that information, you'll get before somebody and they'll tell you it's hearsay. That's what they do. You have to force these people to comply. You have to put your foot on their neck. Otherwise, they're not going to comply. Like I said, these people have been lying to you and stealing from you your entire life. And you think that just because you found out, they're going to now hold your hand and be like, yeah, you're right. My bad. The jig is up. No, because even if you found out, that doesn't mean that you know how to enforce it. That doesn't mean that you're actually going to be able to make sure that they have consequences for their actions. And if they have no consequences, they're not scared of you. You have to make them afraid of you.
Oh, wait, yeah. Okay. So remember I told you guys with the first step, it tell you to turn into another security of issue. And this right here is proving to you that you're able to use these steps. Under 2.12, definite notes. Any restricted notes upon original issue will be in the form of a definite notes. How provided. However, at the request of the holder, such registered notes may be exchanged for book entry notes.
For what?
For book entry notes. Yeah.
I mean, y'all think we just chatting, but it's all here. It's all here. When I've been telling y'all to go find and read the indenture agreements, this is what I'm talking about. This is the indenture agreement.
Ooh. So remember I told y'all taxes. You only supposed to pay taxes on securities, right? That's it. Securities only. So section 2.13, tax treatment. The issuer has entered into this indenture and the notes will be issued with the intention that for purposes of U.S. federal and state income tax, franchise tax, and any other tax measured in whole or in part by income, the notes, because only securities are considered income. If y'all remember the definition of income, it is only real estate and money from stocks, securities, not wages, okay? So any other state measure in whole or part of income, the notes, other than the notes, if any retained by the issuer, a person considered to be the same person as the issuer, okay? That's why when y'all ask me, well, do we have to pay taxes on this? No, because it's retained by the issuer or the person considered to be the same person as the issuer for U.S. income tax purposes. Will be categorized as indebtedness secured by the trust estate. We know they got the estates. Our trust estates in their name, right? You're the agent for it. By entering into this indenture and each note holder by the acceptance of a note and each note owner by his acceptance of the interest in an applicable book entry note agree to treat the notes or other notes if retained by the issuer or person considered to be the same issuer for U.S. federal notes for such purposes as indebtedness. So that goes back that every note is considered a certificate of indebtedness. Prior to the first payment due date and promptly upon request, each note holder shall provide tax information to the indenture trustee, the paying agent, and or issuer, person responsible for withholding taxes, but including but not limited to FATCA, withholding tax, or the delivery under the FACTA, right? So this is why they make you give your social, because they're putting the taxes off on you. Okay. It also says when they're transferring notes prior to any sale or transfer of any restricted notes or any interest therein, each prospective transferee of the registered note shall be required to provide the indenture trustee and the depositor a certification of non-foreign status in such form that is acceptable to the depositor or the indenture trustee, aka the W-9 form.
When we said
now,
that
y'all remember, every company is considered foreign. So who information do you think they're putting on there? This is what your yearly taxes actually is. You have taken their debts, gave them your
but also, when it says the notes, right? What makes the note restricted? What takes it from being an unrestricted note to being a restricted note? Do y'all know? Oh, I see some hands go up.
I know that's right.
It's real simple. It's in the name. Devon Tingle,
Hey, Shmine.
what makes
Hey,
the note restricted?
my signature.
Boom. And so now what
Boom.
does it say? But I know that's right, Shmine. Hey, girl. So everybody who keep asking me, that means you got to pay taxes. Nah, because it says it right here. The IRS W-9 signed under the penalties of perjury and such certification, representation, or opinion of counsel may be requested by the depositor, or other information or documentation requested by the depositor to determine in its sole discretion that payments on restricted notes will not be subject to withholding under the U.S. tax law. So the next time y'all see somebody, oh, y'all are canceling your debt, you're going to owe taxes. There go y'all answer right there. No, because it's a restricted note, because your signature is on there, and restricted notes are not subject to withholding under U.S. tax purposes. Okay.
Boom. Boom. That's simple. Which is also why, if you look and if you all remember when Tamika put up that post about the U.S. Bank bondholder redemption address, they said that you needed to include what form with your bond when you sent it in? W-9. Is it all starting to make sense? Is it all starting to tie in? Are the puzzle pieces forming a picture?
Correct, because at that point that you're turning the note in, that you are now about to get the residuals off of, you do have to give them a W-9. But if they take the note and put it through your Treasury Direct account as they are supposed to, every quarter on the back of your account, you will get the 1099 OID. You will get all of those things to be able to file, right? The good thing about that is that because it's considered non-taxable debt, whatever amount you have on that 1099 OID, that is how you get all of your money back from the government.
When y'all know about the OIDs, about people who have
Properly
used the
under a
OIDs,
restricted note, you will get that money back in full because it is considered a restricted note. It's only a restricted note though when it has your physical name on there, right? Under our social, because we just learned that it comes from the trust estate. But now if you have a trust name on there, so you're gonna pay taxes on that. But everything else you will not. Okay, because all the debt for the American people, etc., is the responsibility of the United States. Now, before, because we know there's a lot, okay? The goal is that we want you guys to know where to get your information from, okay? But remember how I told you guys that secondary market is what kills them, which make them bow down to you like Hail Mary, full of grace. How much money can we give you to get out our face? Oh, and that Ryan took on me. So if you look at this section here, no note holder of a restricted note shall acquire, transfer any restricted note or any interest therein, or cause any restricted notes to be marketed on or through established security markets within section 7704B1 of the code, including without limitation any over-the-counter market or inter-dealer quotation system that regularly firms by sale. That is the secondary market, y'all.
And what did it just say? They can't. All right, come on now.
Yeah. So, and you go down, if any restricted note held by the transferee, right? So they got your note, they're the transfer, is required to be treated other than as described under section 2.13, okay? Then the transferee, or if different, the beneficial owner, which is you, of such restricted note, you shall agree to the designation made pursuant to the trust agreement of the partnership representative of any partnership in which no holder or beneficial owner is deemed to be a partner under section 223. Amended partnership audit rules and the treasury regulations thereunder. So that's when you go and pull your terms and conditions that they gave you and find out what type of a trust agreement you under them. Your terms and conditions with these companies are actually considered trust agreements. All right. So the thing is, guys, the answer is right here. So when we be talking, it's not that any transfer, and it also says any transfer in violations of the provision section 2.15 of the indenture. So we done talked about all the violations. Will be of no force and effect and will be void and will not operate to transfer any rights to the transferee.
And that's in the UCC. They can't do it unlawfully.
And then all unregistered notes, each registered note should have this. You see how they changed the wording and it's in all capital letters? All of this should be within there. You get to looking in their terms and agreement and see if it's there. Okay. And this is where you got to give them the W-9 form. You have to give them a non-foreign status. Okay. Because non-foreign status means that it has to be, it's going to be considered registered. Okay. Down here with payment of principal and interest, covenants. It tell you when they're supposed to pay you. The issuer will duly and punctually pay the principal of the interest, if any, on the notes in accordance with the terms of the notes of and this indenture. So they said this indenture. Whatever they saying here, and in here say what? They're supposed to pay you on the payday. And then they're supposed to send you a check by first class mail, which they're doing. And they're supposed to immediately wire the money to where you say, that's that restricted endorsement who've been with me for a minute, if you put it on the back, right? That's what the restrictive endorsement is. You're telling them where to be able to put it. Without limiting the foregoing, subject to section 8.2 on each payment date. So if you do on the 9th and you set up, this is why, you know how they ask y'all, oh, give us automatic payment information. You give them that so that they can actually pay you on the pay date. It said the issuer will cause to be distributed all amounts deposited in the collection account. What did we just talk about what an account means? It is to collect what? It's to collect funds. It's to deposit, which represent available amounts for each payment due date pursuant to the sale and servicing agreement. Every agreement that you have, lights, gas, water, what do they call it? A servicing agreement. Here is y'all smoking gun in they words with their signatures on here. These things can be long. I don't know what page this end up on, but let me see.
Oh, it has
But I'm gonna
like
skip down here so I can show y'all. Okay, yeah, 2 minutes. So y'all get the point, right? So let's get down here. Who do we send it to? Boom. So we know that they're there. They are the owner trustee, U.S. Bank. Normally is a signature here. This is the one that's not signed. And then they have Citibank. Social Security number or taxpayer ID. Now we know businesses can't have Social Security number, but okay. But this is the assignment of the note. Okay. This paper right here where it says assignment is what they fill out on each one of us. Social Security number, yours is going to go there. For value received, the undersigned hereby sells and assigns and transfer this to, if it was the Capital One, your social, you have assigned by that contract, transferred it over to them. They're going to put your address on there and it's going to say the note within all rights they're under and hereby irrevocably, they're telling you they're going to sign saying that you irrevocably constitute and appoint Capital One or whatever attorney to transfer said note on the books, keep for registration thereof and full power. And then they are going to sign it. You see where it says signature guarantee? They're going to go get a medallion signature guarantee on there and boom, there you go. So. Transfer by notice each person to whom possess the transfer. So there y'all go. There y'all go. There y'all go. Name a purchaser, even this form. You see, this is the form of transferee letter for restricted notes. This is why they started to do everything electronic signature, guys. Because these same things now, here's the letter that they're going to write for you transferring the restricted note over to them so they can say you gave it to them and etc. And that is why they use name a purchaser as transferee. They're going to have your name right there saying that you transferred it over to them. And they're going to use a DocuSign signature. That's why everything is DocuSign. Y'all got it? Ooh, that was a lot, wasn't it, y'all? I know y'all like, what the heck? But it's right there for y'all to use it. This is y'all smoking gun. Period. Last paragraph where we talked about they're not supposed to transfer to secondary markets. That's why they never want to give you that secondary audit. They don't want you to see what is going on over there. Because at the point that you do, you got them. Because do you know that if you know the violations that they have within their security agreement itself, and you actually did a report, not with FTC, not with the FDIC, you see, they done told them no. But if you went on the Security Exchange website and you looked at the top and you hit that button called whistleblower, and using their terms and their notes and can prove that they committed fraud as a whistleblower, do you know that they give you 10% of the net worth of their entire company? These are billion-dollar companies. That is why they make you sign NDAs. Y'all want to get y'all stuff, no bullshit, and quick, and make these people eat your dust, throw their words back up in their face. Period. Get your Q-Sub number, get your audits, get whatever it takes. But throw them words back up in their face. And I'm telling you, it ain't been one time they have not folded. Because in order for them to be security transfer agents, they had to agree to all of that. At the moment that they are not, they supposed to be giving y'all deposits every time. And due to the fact they done turned everything to a book entry security, instead of you paying them on the 9th, they supposed to be paying you on the 9th. That's why they asking you for your checking account information. And they're debiting your stuff. They played us, y'all. This is why I do what I do, because I'm pissed that they played us. The first time I read a Trust Indenture Act for real, I was mad for about 2 weeks. I said, oh, they got me effed up. Because it's just wrong. People are literally struggling when they supposed to be paying y'all in your collection account. Okay? So do y'all get it? I know it's kind of late. I will literally take 4 questions. Jawan said no, don't take no. Jawan Johnson, you said don't take no questions.
we already
don't take
went.
that. What time is it?
It's 8:49, which means for you it's 9:49, almost 10 o'clock.
No, me and you on the same. Yeah, me and you on the same time. For them, it's almost central too. Yes, Jawan. Jawan Johnson. I'll take 4 questions real quick.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
I can hear you.
Yeah. Y'all one of them people that I've been following along pretty good. I took some notes. I still feel like maybe tomorrow I'm gonna do day 3. I think it's gonna really kick in for me. But I do just want to thank you. I'm just a lot of it is kind of foreign to me. I think what'll help me is maybe even tomorrow too if we can have an industry grant and have maybe like a numerical order, maybe like a 1 to 10 type of thing. At least give me like, you know, 'cause I need something that's because there's a lot of facts and it's a lot there, but kind of confusing because there's so many facts. Like if I could do on top of that, maybe like a 1 through 12 or whatever the main 15 things is, the main 5 things
So
in the list tomorrow, if possible.
So I
would-
was actually,
that is exactly
you
what
want to go ahead, Auntie?
we are going to do. Yeah, go ahead. That is exactly what we're going to do because it is a lot. But we are going to prepare something for you guys. I think the best thing to do would be to take a trust indenture act and highlight the particular parts that's needed and go step, by step of what needs to be done. Tomorrow we will actually, walk through how to stamp, how to endorse, and how to send it. But what we went through today is if some reason you got to enforce it, or when it's time for you to go to collect your money, you know how to do it. But we are going to provide you guys with examples and etc. because people do learn differently. It is a lot of information, especially if you're new with me. People that's been with me for a minute, we took all the classes up to this, right? So we basically given like this is what you need, but we will definitely make sure that you guys have something that you can say, okay, one, let me do this. But go ahead, Caleb, what was you about to say?
No, I was just gonna say that.
Caleb?
Yeah. I was just gonna say that part of why we kind of do it in this manner, though, is because while there is certain things where it's like, okay, these are like the main points where you can go back and read, it's really the entire document that needs to be read and understood. And what I would recommend is you go into an indenture agreement for any company that you're comfortable with. You can start phone bill, credit, whatever. Find their indenture agreement and go over it. Start with the definitions. Then, like how we demonstrated, it tells you all the articles. It tells you where to go for what you're looking for. So you've seen what we covered today in the titles of those sections. The titles are really self-explanatory when you understand. And the thing that we're trying to hammer into you guys is that understanding these things are going to help you far more. Because if you can understand, like, okay, when it says that they're not allowed to transfer it to the secondary market if it's a restricted note, that is a violation of their security agreement. That is securities fraud. So when you are needing examples of securities fraud, you put this item on the secondary market when, according to your agreement, you're not supposed to put this on the secondary market. You see what I mean? Take what we have given, and then you have to see how you can apply that to your situation, right? I am the owner of this note. As you can see, because according to section 212, it says I am the owner. As it says, according to section 3, those entitled to receive payment as the owner, I'm entitled to receive principal and interest payments. So you have to use these things because we're giving you all the different pieces that you need. You just have to put them together in a way that makes sense for you, though. Because if you can put together a letter based off of your understanding of the indenture document in your own words, it will work better for you. At least I feel like. To have your own personal style. And yeah, we'll give you an example, but you're going to have to make it your own. That's so we will definitely provide a focused guide, but it's really about understanding. Because let me tell you what I would have done after this class. I would have sat back and I would have gone through that form. I would have read it. I would have highlighted it section by section. Okay, what does this section mean for me? What does it mean? Okay, I know that they're not allowed to do this and they just did this. You see what I mean? You have to put it together. You have to make your own image with the pieces that have been given. But what I'm trying to say is that everyone's image can't look the same. See what I mean? But you will get it. You just have to give yourself more time.
And then you also use it for people that's been at this a minute. You will send them something, and they'll call you and say, what you want us to do with this? Well, section 2.37 point B or whatever said that as long as I send it to somebody in that company, you have the duty and the responsibility to send it to the indentured trustee, right?
See what I mean?
Or when you send them a stamped endorse, or you're on automatic because they've turned into a book entry security. No. On the 9th of the month, instead of me paying you, where is my deposit? And then you're able to reference their stuff. Not talking about the law said, because it's this, we're talking about policies and procedures and contract law now. Okay. So now you're able to take their contract and throw it back in their face, because you may get one company, you stamp an endorse and you send it. But I want you to think about this, right? You stamp it and you endorse it, and they just credit your account. Most people will be happy with that. Nah, boy, I want my money. You better credit my account and run my money. Credit both of my accounts, right? This light bill account better say negative whatever, because negative mean that is in the proper status. But my Wells Fargo, Fidelity, Charles Schwab, Navy Federal, I got a whole bunch of accounts. My money better go there too. On the 9th for every month. And just like they bug us, you're late. I'm gonna bug you. You're late with my payment.
Exactly.
Where's my deposit? Right? Which is why you want them to turn into a book entry security, because y'all just seen us read it, according to whatever section that was, that they have to immediately on the payment date. So guess what? When you're talking to these people, you know how to talk to them now. You can tell them with a surety that that first class postage mail that they sent you with their name on the top is a check, and that the routing and account number is on the bottom. And I need you to put it in this account. And guess what? You can back it up with their stuff, right? So that's what it's for. We like to not only tell you, I don't want y'all to be like, well, Path to Freedom say, no, fuck that. Path to Freedom said it, but I wrote it. And your Trust Indenture Act that was signed by John Blondeau under your security agreement with filing number such and such, say that this is your duty. You got me mutilating my bonds so that you can steal them. You tell me to go to paperless billing to save the trees, and y'all cutting down trees in a little bit. No, you told us to make it paperless billing so that they can get paid earlier. Due to the fact that this is a restricted note, I ain't supposed to be paying no taxes, period. Point and blank. So that was the point. So y'all can stand, because y'all gonna have to. Some of them will go through real easy. But when everybody is starting to try to get remedy, they try to give you pushback, right? But people that's just using laws, y'all just seen the FDIC lost the case against Citibank. How did the Federal Depository Insurance Company lose against the bank when they are the ones that regulate the bank? Wrong jurisdiction. So what you think they're gonna do to you? You Rudy Poot to them. But when you got that indenture agreement, or you can prove that secondary market, I'm telling you, Hail Mary full of grace, bow down. Do you need a bottle of Ace? Because they gonna give you what you need. So this is how we
win. Right to your face.
This is how we win. I've been at this 11 years. It'll be 11 and a half in a minute. And when I was just using the statutes and law, no. But when I started reading they shit, and I'm like, jackpot, baby. And I started talking to them in that manner. They've been doing everything that I needed them to do. I broke the bank down to the bank. I spoke to Merrill Lynch, one of their ex-VPs one day. I had the privilege of speaking to him. And after he talked to me, he made me sign an NDA. But he did tell me this. He said, I've never spoken to a person that ain't never worked at the bank to break down the bank the way that you just broke down the bank. He said, you are very dangerous to the bank. Now y'all see why they sent somebody from the people to try to come trying to talk me out of trying to help y'all. Because I use their shit against them. They can defute the FDIC, they can defute Cornell law, but you know what they can't defute? that contract that they signed to be in the position that they're in. Because if you whistleblow on them, if every last one of us on this call put in a report against Capital One through the security exchange, they will lose their license to transfer securities. They're a $1 billion company. We minute. They're going to go ahead and just pay us off to shut up so that they can keep on stealing, right? So that's why you want to know their words. Okay, stick with us. I promise you, you'll get it. We will give you guys examples on what to do, but we also want you to know if they call you or they send you a letter or they don't respond the way that you want, you know how to come back at them without having to go on Instagram or TikTok talking about Path to Freedom. This is what they said. What do I do? I need you to know what they did. I need you to know what they're supposed to do so that you can immediately go right back at them. Boom, 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 boom. You know what I'm saying? Period. And like I said, I'm getting everything set up with the guys so that you guys can get audit reports at a reasonable price, because y'all got people that try to charge y'all $3,000 for them or etc. That's the ace boom boom boom. I'm telling you what it is. They're gonna pay you out real quick. They're gonna give you all your back money, but because you know their fiduciary duty, and that audit report will be tied to a CUSA, you can direct them on which one of your accounts to deposit your money in every single month and share your QSIP number with you. And if you're smart, you would do it through your Treasury Direct account, because if you did it through the Treasury Direct account, you're no longer an enemy of the state because you have securitized your funds and you done made more money, and that is where your generational wealth come from. Because you can take that account and attach it to a kid account, and your kid that's 2 years old is making money that is tax-free and will continuously make it. And the good thing about it is the bank's still gonna make theirs because they have a right to have a certain amount, but you're making yours because they're just being greedy. Okay, I want y'all to have facts. So then too, when you hear all these millions of people that's trying to teach this shit, you can be like, wait a minute, that's contrary to section 2.1.2 in the Trustee Act. So you know to keep moving because they telling y'all some bullshit. Okay, Rishi.
Hey Tamika, thank you for everything, everybody. I'm in Puerto Rico. Anytime that you want to come down here, let me know.
Oh my God, I was supposed to be down there last week, but y'all rained me the hell out. But I'll be down there for New Year's.
Okay, call me up. I'll tour you around for real.
Perfect.
Yeah. And so I guess that it works the same here in Puerto Rico because there's nobody talking about remedy down here that I know of. I don't know anybody else. So I'm just asking in regards to attempting all that here.
So yes, it can be done down there, even down there in Puerto Rico. But it's a certain bank in Puerto Rico. I'm going to send you the name of it. You need to go open an account with them.
Okay.
Okay, because Puerto Rico and Hawaii, because they are not a part of the United States, they're not a territory of it. The rules does go you can still discharge and everything else the same down there. But your particular bank down there if you're a Puerto Rico resident, they buy all your securities from you. So I'll send you the name of it.
Okay, thank you. And let me know whenever you come down here. I'll tour you around.
Absolutely. I'm supposed to be down there the week of the 28th to the 4th. Because like I said, it was scheduled for last week, but y'all rained out, so I had to cancel it. So send me a DM on Instagram so I can respond back to it. But yeah, I think it's the 28th through the 4th of January. I'll be there.
I will. And I have a guy also that can get the QSIP numbers. I have all the QSIP numbers for my student loans and all that stuff in case you need a contact.
All right. Yeah, DM me because, hey, we got people that need QSIP. Even if you can't get the full report, the fact you got that QSIP number, that will get them to move because you can prove secondary market with that. We got so many different tools, whether it's a full audit report or the fact that you got the QSIP number. And once you got the QSIP number and you can actually prove that it belongs to you, if you have a Fidelity or something account, you can transfer that QSIP number over to your account so you can start remaking the residuals off of that as well.
Perfect. I just texted you on Path to Freedom on Instagram. Thank you again. You're a blessing to all.
You are more than welcome. All right. I said 4, so I'm gonna take 2 more. I just had 2 guys. I did 2 girls. Kim. Where'd she go?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Oh, I'm kind of new at this. This is my first live class with you, but I've been reading everything and following you on Instagram. But I have a question about yesterday when we were going on the contracts for the car loan. I have Navy Federal, so mine looks completely different from the one that you were showing for Caleb. As far as today's, I found Discover because I'm going to do the coupon method for Discover. So I followed everything and I found it, thank God. But for Navy Federal, it's hard because I can't find that. I can't find the agreement for them.
So you don't have, so you're not going to find a trust indenture agreement for any credit union because credit unions are nonprofit organizations.
So
Okay?
I found there for the Navy Federal Investment Services LLC on the
Correct.
FINRA, and I found out that I think it's BNY Mellon is their
Yep.
trustee. Yes,
That is true.
I found
That's
that, but the thing that confuses me is that for them, I have a promissory note and I have a contract, both for
which
my
are
car.
which are both securities. Both of them are.
Yeah, so I wanted to know what do I do with both? Do I send both of them in, or do I send one in and then take the other one to get wired to my TDA from my bank?
No,
Or
you're gonna send both of them in to them because that's two different securities. With the pay to the order, with what we'll be showing you guys when we do the demonstration tomorrow. You'll send both of them to them, and instead of sending it to their Navy Federal Financial Services, which is their head bank, go on Fidelity and put in Navy Federal Securitization Department, and you're going to send it straight to the, and it's a guy unless they change them. You'll address that and send it straight to him. He is the one who stamps and securitizes all the notes to be sent over to the trustee.
okay, so I send it to BNY Mellon and to the Navy Federal Securitization Department.
No, you're just gonna send it just to Navy Federal Securitization Department, right?
Oh, no BNY
And
Mellon. Okay.
yes, and you're going to direct them via the document that we'll show you guys how to create tomorrow for them. Make them do their homework, darling. For them to send it over to the industrial trustee, as we read in the Trust Act, it's their responsibility to send it, and then they can finish it off from there. But it can go straight to the securitization department.
Okay. So since I can't find their in just like their act like we did for Discover, like I did for Discover or for Hyundai, my issue is how do I use their words against them if I can't really see them or if I can't find them?
Because what you do is you couldn't find them under Navy Federal Fight. You couldn't find them under Navy Federal Credit Union.
Right.
You can find their Trust Indenture Act under Navy Federal Financial Services.
Okay.
Because it's going, that's the one who actually signed up with that. But I've been dealing with Navy Federal for a minute, helping people discharge. They actually one of the easiest ones. Send it straight to stamp and endorse it, the pay to the order, a Navy Federal on there, and register mail it to their securitization department. They are going to stamp it because the securitization department is considered the depositor, and then they'll send it where it needs to go. Now with Navy Federal, before you even see it totally credit to the account in red at the top of your account, that this is not an attempt to collect a debt. It is for your informational purposes only. You have to scroll like closer to the bottom of my page. There is one there. I'll try to put it to the top. So anytime y'all dealing with Navy Federal, that's the first thing they're going to put on your account. It's going to be in red at the top. And it's going to make sure it say, this is not an attempt to collect the debt. This is for your informational purposes only. That is how you're going to know that they got your note and they are honoring it. Okay.
Okay. Okay,
right.
awesome. And then just one more little thing, because I know, I'm guessing you guys are going to talk about the mortgage tomorrow, hopefully.
No, mortgage is a totally different class.
Okay. All right. Then I'll wait on that because I have the same thing for my mortgage. I have a note and the contract. So, okay, I'll wait for that.
You actually have a note, a contract, a deed, and a title. You actually have 4 securities when it comes to a mortgage. Okay. Mortgages are a little bit more complex because, you know, each one of us under the record books is considered a transmitting utility as a mortgage. So we're all mortgages, we're walking mortgages, right? So there are several steps like the acceptance of the deed. You have to realize that the bank sold you your house for $10 and you own the land indefinitely, which is in your warranty deed. So that class is a class all in itself because there are several moving parts. It's just not step and endorse with them. Yeah, you step indoors, but you need to go and do an acceptance of the deed. You need to put a quiet title on there. You need to take control of the land. So I'm going to do that as a separate series for everybody. Okay.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of this information. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much.
You are more than welcome. All right, I'm gonna pick one more person. That'll be my 4 because I said it. I picked 2 guys, so I'm gonna pick 2 girls. Let me see. Y'all, thank y'all for rocking with us this long today. Let's see. Let me go to the second page. Cause I'm always up. Vernica, girl, you caught my attention. Hey, you the first thing I see when I hit the second page. You can unmute.
Good evening. Thank you so much. You guys have been a blessing. Thank you so much. So, my question is, so my husband and I are in bankruptcy, and I wanted to do a 1099, but I was unable to find information I need. I know that on my credit report, it reads U.S. Bankruptcy Court of Northern Georgia. That's what it reads. So I'm thinking that's who I need to seek, but I don't find any of their information. Of course, the law firm I went through, I'm assuming I don't use them because of the fact that they're not listed on the credit report. So how would I actually?
What are you trying to do?
I want to discharge. I want to discharge it altogether, the bankruptcy.
If you want to get the bankruptcy removed from your credit report, which I'm not sure if that's what you're talking about, but
Chapter 7 or 11, which one you filed?
I'm sorry, what was that?
So you filed a chapter 7 or a chapter 11?
It was a 13.
You did a 13. Oh, so you told them you was gonna pay them back.
Right, and we have been, but I was tired of paying them that $2,000 each month, so I didn't pay them this past month, and now it's due again this month. I just can't. Now that I've learned, I've been following you for a few months, and I know enough to know that it's fraud, and that I just can't give them my money.
So who did you add on to the bankruptcy? Which companies?
They told me to do every company that's on our
credit report.
Credit report, yes.
You're gonna file a 1099 for every company that's on your credit report, because at the moment that you found bankruptcy, it actually wiped away the debt because the whole dang on world is in a bankruptcy. So once you filed the bankruptcy, it took away the entire debt, the liability of the debt within itself. So you can file a 1099 for everybody that's currently on there. If you want to remove the bankruptcy off of your credit report, this is what you do. You give a request to the bankruptcy court and ask them, did they report your information to the credit bureau agencies? They're going to send you back a letter saying, we do not report to the credit agencies. Use that letter to get the actual bankruptcy taken off of the credit report, but just 1099 everybody else, because at the moment you did bankruptcy, it basically double paid them. It discharged the debt completely off. Okay.
Okay, and because it's old debt, then it'll be a 1099-C, correct?
Correct. It'll be a 1099-C. Not only because it's old debt, but it's also discharged debt.
Canceled off because you did the bankruptcy.
Yeah, it canceled out because you did the bankruptcy.
Okay.
FYI, if any guys that's on here, mothers, don't get mad at me, but if y'all got child support, y'all know y'all can file bankruptcy on child support. It was updated in the Child Support Act of 1995, I believe. That's how you know that it's not a federal debt, because you were not supposed to be able to bankrupt federal federal debt. But yeah, just, y'all know somebody in some situation that they about to lock them up for not paying. That's the fastest way to get them out, file bankruptcy for it. And if they in jail for it, they'll get out too immediately. Okay, guys? So
okay, great. So let me just clarify, please. I know that it's been a while, and I thank you for your everything. But I just want to make sure that I have this correct, because I need to do this like ASAP. So I'm going to contact contact the courts, contact the bankruptcy court, and ask if they ask them if they provided my information to the credit agencies.
Yep, ask do they report to the credit
Is that-
agencies. You want to do it in writing so you can get it back in writing, whether it's an email or a letter, you can actually email them. They'll send you back a letter on their letterhead stating that they do not report that. And then with that, you'll file a CFPB complaint, you'll upload that, and all of the credit reporting agencies will remove it.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so very much. Thank you kindly.
You are absolutely.
Yes.
Funny enough, I actually just had somebody do that with the bankruptcy like 3 weeks ago.
Oh, really? Wow, yes.
Yeah,
Oh my
they got
goodness,
that
it's a
letter.
pain.
Got that letter because when you go to the court, they will give you a letter back saying they don't share that information. And so when you go and you do a CFPB, they take that off immediately. And that's what people don't know.
And the good thing is that once they take that off, that's a violation up under the credit agencies, and you can send their ass an invoice and a threaten to sue, and they will pay you very quickly.
Okay.
You ain't got to take them to no federal court, either do attempt to sue due to violations, and that letter will hold up, and then you can make them pay you. When it comes to IRS taxes, just because you got it up, I'll answer that. You can stamp and endorse the bill the same way. If you look at 31 CFR 328.5, go all the way down to the bottom, there is a stamp that they put on the bill. The same way we make a stamp for taxes. We even tell you the service director, there's somebody else, Wendell, you can direct it to the service director. You can get the bill that they sent you, you stamp and endorse it, but you're going to also fill out a 1040V as in Victor for voucher. Fill out everything at the bottom with the exact names and everything on there, stamp and endorse the bill, and send it in to them, and it will take away the taxes, okay? And on that note, I appreciate you guys rocking with us again tonight. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please do me a favor, everybody, and please register on time for tomorrow. Please register on time for tomorrow for us. We would truly appreciate it. And besides that, we will see you guys tomorrow. If I was you, I would, whatever company that you are going to do first or etc. If I was you, I would pull their indenture agreement so you can get the address. Like, I would love for everybody on here where we can do a mass mailing. Just a mass mailing. Everybody on Monday send me a picture. I'm at the post office. You know what I'm saying? Like, I sent it off. We hit all, and it's the last quarter. It's the best time to hit them because it's time for them to file that quarterly taxes on 12/31, baby. You know what I'm saying? So we'll go over from beginning to end. We will walk you guys through how to stamp it, endorse it. Make sure you guys got the cover letter that you're going to need to add with it. We will be giving you guys examples of it. If I was you, I would print that Trust Indenture Act out because you can reference those things. The more you reference in your letters, the easier and the quicker they will discharge your debt off. So you don't have to keep going back and forth with them. And then once you get them to discharge it off, then that's when you're going to double back based off of their trust indenture agreement and go collect the bag. Okay? We don't just want credits. We want the bag too. Okay? So on that note, Caleb, if you don't have anything else, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Hopefully this class was enlightening to you guys. And now, instead of saying Path to Freedom said, you could say the Trust Indenture Act said that this is what they're supposed to do. You know, it's a check, you know, it belongs to you. And until tomorrow, you guys have a very good evening. Hey, Caleb, you got anything to say?
I got nothing to say, but I appreciate y'all for coming, and y'all got the sauce tonight. Like, this class was longer than it was supposed to be because when we get into the zone, we get into the zone. So I just hope that you took something that's going to help push you further along your journey of getting remedy. And other than that, like I said, I'm thankful that you guys are here. I'm thankful that you're on this journey with us to freedom. And I want everyone to be safe and have a good night. And we're going to see you tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see y'all tomorrow. Please go register. Please go register. Thank you. Have a good night.